Hello, LCUS, and fam, and perhaps random viewer. This is Pointy. I am just doing a quick VOD review of the finals. This one was really interesting because we actually got a reverse sweep. And so, throughout most of these VOD reviews, I'm going to do the whole finals. What's going to happen is I'm going to go through each and every game from my point of view, and I'm gonna go through how I think Nine Lives won the first two games, and I think I'm gonna go through about how I think we won the next three games in a row. This is gonna be pretty. I would say kind of this would be biased because obviously I was in one of the teams, but um, again I just want to do a revive review and just kind of go with through everybody to see how I think the games went. So here we go. Gonna jump to the pick and ban quick. So throughout most of the split, we've had a few permabans on our team. We've always had a Yi and Morgana ban because Greg is an amazing Morgana and Prowler is an amazing Yi. If you actually look at how Nine Lives drafted in this series, they actually um, focused a ton on those three and the Ornn. For the strangest reason, they just kept indexing on Ornn really, really hard, and I think after their scouting, they probably thought it was essential. Um, but like I said, for our team, the Yi and the Morgana are always kind of free bands that we just never expected to get, and so that was very expected. But the Ornn, I think, in our opinion, or in my opinion, was very. They actually, I think they focused too much on the Ornn itself. On our side here, you can actually see how we banned Ezreal, Volibear, and Samira. We wanted to, in this, for these bans, we wanted to actually pinch Wally in a sense. Um, Wally is a very, very good AD carry, and so what we wanted to do was we wanted to take away his mobility essentially, and take away the Ezreal and the Samira, and then we took away the Volibear, because Slack throughout most of the split has been really, really good or consistent at least on the Volibear. With how both of our teams, so with how Nine Lives played, after doing a lot of reviews, with how Nine Lives played this split, from what I could see was they 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 had a very, very good team at creating space, and so how I think that they won almost all their games was they always had Slack, the jungle, on a Volibear or a set, and they always had Icy Flip on a Nautilus or a hard engaged champ. And once they had the base of their composition down, they always um, they always followed up with a lot of damage with wall. Generally, it's Wally and Rolexes that are pulling that stuff out. And then Truffle actually I think fit perfectly into the team. He played a very good Syndra, played a very good Oriana and Galio. And so at the when you actually look at how their most of their comps they built, it was actually very smart because what they did was, again, they always had a set or a Volibear always, and a Nautilus or a Thresh, and their job was mainly to create space. So what they always did against teams was they would always hard engage, and they always had Trufflesaurus as a nice just backline just to help kind of back up the front line with the Oriana balls and the Galio ults and the taunts just a zone. And what that did was that created a ton of space for Wally and Rolexis with the GP, the Camille, the Vlad, the Ezreal, and the Samiras to just kind of run wild. And so what I noticed a lot in their games early on in the split was when they have Volibear, he just ran at you with Stable Nautilus, and generally the normal response to that would be to kite back and then turn. But what happened was they would follow that up with a GP ult behind you, and so in that sense, it just um, pinched your team, and so you were forced to run forward, and unless the AD carry on the opposing team was something like a Kog'Maw or a Vayne, you were really ahead, you weren't gonna shred through a Volibear set, a Nautilus, a Thresh that was building tanky. You weren't gonna shred through them unless you were given enough time. But when that point at that point, you're probably dead from all the damage from Rolexes and General Wally, and Trophosaurus is just that extra safety net to protect them. So again, so you can kind of see that in our comps and our bands here. Um, with how we like to play all split, um, we we played around Prowler quite a bit. Prowler was um, again, he's a very very good Yi, but we actually played. I think we had a better team game than almost every other team. We also had some of the best drafts in my opinion, because me, Greg, and Prowler were always very, very flexible. And Sig and Liz were flexible enough to kind of facilitate it. But the real prize in our team was because, again, they our team we were our core, so our mid, jungle, and ADC, we were so we were strong enough that a lot of times people couldn't ban us out because again, they always banned the Morgana and the Yi because if they gave it to us, it was most likely we were gonna win those games. Um, and so we always got 2 free bans, and so the next 3, they either a lot of teams either hard targeted Prowler or they hard targeted Greg because or even like Sig in some cases, but a lot of times we had the flex capability between Greg and Liz, and to be able to just let him ban whatever, and we were always generally going to have, in my opinion, a very comfortable pick. Probably had a big enough champion pool where I don't think that anyone could have banned him out. I mean, they could have probably sent 5 his way, and he probably would have found something to be useful on. Um, so, yeah, let's keep going. Um, so here you see them. They 9 lives. They actually did. So they picked the set first because we banned away the volley. And again, that was just another. I think it's a comfort champ on Slack. He picked set because if we took away the set and the volley, like that would start kind of digging out and down into how their game plan and how they like to play a game. In this game, we picked Prowler and Mordekaiser first because we wanted. We essentially Mordekaiser was something Prowler practiced enough, and he was good at it enough that we thought that we could pull it out. And so with our second pick, we actually picked Swain, and Swain is just a very good champ that Liz was doing very well on all split. Drove the Teemo. Okay, so here they actually pick away the Jhin, and I think that personally this is just a takeaway pick for them. All split from what I could see. I didn't think Wally played Jhin at all. I think for the most part he played things more like Caitlyn, Ezreal, Samira, like more mobile champs. And so seeing him pick Jhin here, I knew right away that it was more of a takeaway pick because I'm pretty sure they scouted a few of my solo queue games, and they scouted enough of my games to know that hey, Jhin facilitated. When I played Jhin, it facilitated our team quite a bit. We'll keep going here. And then again, Trophosaurus gets his Syndra. Just a fine pick. Creates space for the rest of the backline for knockback. And then here we pick Ashe. The reason we picked Ashe here was because for most of the split, I play utility champs to facilitate my team, and when they took away the Jhin, I could have easily went a Caitlyn or I could have went I could have went a few other champs, but the reason why I went to Ashe was again to facilitate my team because at this point, we've never brought out at this point we practiced quite a few other champs, but we never brought out certain champs yet in the split and during the actual game split. And so we went with the Ashe because it was more of a comfort because we said, okay, well, if we didn't get the Jhin utility, we'll take the Ashe utility. And so here we just ban out the Nautilus just to kind of take away the Nautilus Jhin combo because any time you lane against a Jhin, if he has a good hard CC support with him, the lane is just essentially just one because Jin is actually just that strong in lane with his deadly flourish. And then again, we target the supports, the hard CC support, and then they target 6 pool. So what they did here is they targeted the Yi and the Morgana, and then they tried to hard index onto Sig. So they tried to take everything away from Sig. And the reason why they did that was because coming into this series, we I'm sure we knew as well. They knew as well as we did that Sig was our weak side, and we also knew that Rolex's was a hard carry on their side. And so, it was honestly a pretty decent idea to just hard target our top lane, because that was probably where they were going to get the biggest advantage. When you actually think about the team matchups here, I think that we actually matched pretty. It was our the matchups were pretty even for the most part. Um, the top lane matchup would have always went to Rolexes because Rolex is a very strong top. Um, and then again, I don't think our bot lanes were an issue. I think that me and Liz were probably the only ones that could play up to Wally and Icy. So like for the league, and um, this isn't being overconfident, but I really think that we were one of the few lanes, or even that was able to just keep up with Wally in them. And in the first 2 games, you won't notice it, but in the next couple ones, you will. I'll explain to you why that is. And then I think our real advantages from this series, from our team matchups as well, comes from Prowler and Greg. So Trufflesaurus and Slack are very, very good players, but I just think that Prowler again was just much more diverse than Slack, and he had just probably a better understanding of how to carry a game, and how to force things, and um, how to just really get advantages. And then Greg, I don't think Greg was necessarily that far above Truffle, but I know for a fact that Greg was always just very comfortable in lane, and he never felt pressured. He never had a hard time. And so, and in some of the later games, you'll see that Greg is actually just pushing and hard shoving and just beating, like, just pressuring their mid lane a lot. And so I think that in terms of both teams, like I said, the bots matched up well. The top advantage was in their favor, but our mid jungle duel was slightly in our favor. So keep going here. Okay, so at this point, we pick Lux because we left our top lane and our mid lane, and so at this point we just picked Lux because Greg and Liz again they could flex Lux or Swain. And then again, here comes the GP to follow with the ult. And then a Thresh. So again, this is a classic like 9 lives comp. So they had a set and since we took away the Volibear and the Nautilus, they picked up the Thresh and the set to just kind of again run at us. And then what they did was the big adaptation here was the Jhin because again we took away the Ezreal and the Samir, and they took away the Jhin from us. So, and then here we grab Poppy. We grabbed Poppy because again, Sig Alex up top lane. It was one of probably his better champs, and he's been waiting to pull it out. And like I said, we did a few practice games, and he just did very well in it. And so when you look at these two comps here, on 9 life size. I actually think they got exactly what they wanted. And with the addition of Jhin, it probably just made their comp that much better. Because again, their game plan was they got the spacing and they got the hard carries in the backline. So they have Thresh and a set to just kind of run and engage and to just create space. And then they also had a Syndra to create space and also blow up any of our carries. Meanwhile, they had Wally, the Gangplank to follow with his ult and his barrels to just kind of clean house. And the big thing that made their comp much stronger here, though, was a Jhin, because with any of the engages, Jhin could always follow up with a Deadly Flourish, and Jhin could always, if we ever try to kite back into the GP ult, the Jhin could just follow up with his ult too, and then at that point they just murder us. With our comp, it was, I think our comp was pretty good for the most part. It was quite a bit AP heavy. Um, and like I said, against a set and stuff like that, we were playing more for the hard CC and the follow up, and so our how our comp worked was, if let's say we ever got an arrow with an Ash on a Syndra or a Jin, um, we could easily follow up with the Swain pole, the Lux Snare, the Poppy, um, the Poppy shield thing could also block Thresh's Lantern as well. And so we had more of a pick count. Both teams had a lot of CC, but I think that in this one, the Nine Lives actually won the draft for how they like to play for most of the split. So let's get forward into the game here.
Spots do you think they'll do for this, Jeff?
Okay, so here we just kind of invade early, try to see if we found something. Throw a ward down, and they saw us.
Let's see. I mean,
So it was kind of
they
wasted.
get spotted.
Yes.
I didn't see spotted. All right. So yeah, you see 9 lives immediately going up.
First time. It's definitely
We're almost killed in the jungle. Might still almost be killed in the
So
jungle, actually.
the early game's not too bad right now. Like I said, Prowler's, he's low, but he's done this before. He's used to it. If you actually look at the lanes, for the most part, we're all kind of even. Prowler's a little bit ahead. Bot lane's a little bit, 2 CS, not a big difference. But you can always, at this point, you can already tell, you can already see the big difference in the top lane. Rolex is up 14 CS on Poppy at 3 minutes right now, and so
Keep an eye on that shield possibility here.
Yeah, he knows his values. I trust him. Maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, something to be able
They recalled early. I don't know if they were forced to recall.
largely depends on where the wave's at. If it's frozen,
I'll turn the sound off. Yeah, great commentary, but it's hard to focus. Okay, so one thing about this comp. So right now, Greg was pressuring Truffle in lane, and Greg's actually up on CS. But I remember when we went into this game, one of the big things that I personally warned my team about was the Syndra range. Syndra probably has one of the farthest ranges, like stun ranges, like from what I can think of in any champ right now. And so I said that in this particular game, like if we give Truffle Syndra, they have a range advantage, and we have to watch out for that because every time, if he could land a full range stun, Icy could just follow up with a hook, and Rolex or Slack could just follow up with a facebreaker, and anyone caught in that would just be dead. And so that was one thing I stressed to my team to say, hey, like we have to play around the Syndra range because Syndra is actually very scary in that sense. So they try to gank Greg there, and Greg just gets out because he flashed out. Yeah, lanes are pretty even. Stig's getting some CS back, but lane stays in a bad position right now because Rolex is just freezing it on him. Okay, so Sig right here, he's trying to do his best, but again, as a Poppy, he doesn't have that many tools to actually farm very well against the GP because with a grass GP, he's just gonna farm the Poppy, um, all day long. And so Sig actually just had to wait for this lane to crash here. There he goes. Prowler comes in here, but probably can't do much because Rolexis just walks out. They can't really do much anyways because Rolexis still has his orange. And then Sig missed that right there. And probably end up dying because Rolexis did a good job of just holding his ult. And like I said, the whole time I'm pretty sure he still had his orange too, so unless they really locked him down. They weren't going to kill him. Okay, so at this point, Rolexis is up about, almost 20, almost 30 CS, and he has a kill. And his call, and there comes Slack. They just camp for Greg again. They actually missed the kill. Okay, so go back. So they actually missed the kill here because I think Truffle didn't weave in the autos like he should have. And then in the bot lane here, they panned down to us really fast. But I think what happened was Wally actually stepped up, and Liz caught him with the hook, and then we just followed up. And we actually forced out Wally's flash here and icy flips. So again, this goes back to my point where I said that I think we were actually one of the few lanes that could actually contest Wally in them, because if you actually watch how Wally and them play, they're like Nine Lives is bot lane plays, they are actually almost all the time they actually just hard one lane, and so anytime they transition to the mid game, they're just so strong that they could just take over the entire game, and so like I said, you can actually see here how we're keeping up in CS. And we actually forced them out first, and we out pressured them. And Sig here just trying to collect XP, but he actually just, yeah, he should have backed earlier because he was just too low to actually do anything. Okay. Again, so Jin went back and bought a BS sword. The reason we backed so early was so late was because we had to bounce back the wave, because if we didn't do that, the wave would have actually bounced back. Well, we had to bounce the wave back towards us, because if we didn't push it, the wave would have bounced back towards them, and we would have been in a bad position. And then here Prowler catches Syndra. Syndra just flashes and Prowler just can't do anything. And yeah, she gets away. Greg blows out. So right now, 9 lives is 2,000 gold up. Most of the lead, I think, is in the top lane. Jin has a slight CS lead, but it's offset by the mid lane. And then here, they just engage in us, and they get the kill on Liz, but I got out. So you notice in this early game, Slack actually ganks quite a bit, and you see here they just come right back for Greg because they know that they blew the summoners earlier. And at this point, Greg can't really do much because again they have all their CC and the Cinder Stun. The only bad part is again Icy took the kill here, but this is something Nine Lives was very good at. They're just very good at repeat ganks and just kind of pressuring lanes like this. And Slack does very, very well at that. So here I just stay in lane because I didn't want to lose the XP. So I greeted a bit. Now Slack is low again, but the Rolexes can't do much right now because Slack still isn't low enough. Just keep going. Keeps giving the blue. Yep, and then Sig should just back right now because he's low, but I think he ends up No, he does back. Okay. So another big thing that Nine Lives did very well that we noticed in the first couple of games is they actually used Fog of War really, really well too. We noticed that a lot of times when they would push up lanes, or they would when they would push up lanes, they would instantly just kind of back off and just kind of disappear. And so when you have a set constantly ganking in the early game like that, that's gonna, for any team, no matter what, it's gonna start making the team think the set must be here. Especially in Greg's position, Set already went mid I think 4 times at this point at 10 minutes, and at this point Greg knows he has to play safe because again there's a Cinder range stun, and Set has clearly shown that he's gonna just be hovering around. And so what they did a lot was every time they pushed up, they just kind of fell back, and so that mentally forced us to play safe and just to play really far back and not really roam much, because again we at that point we kind of just had a hard time tracking them, and we just didn't know where they were. And so they actually did a really, really good job at just kind of falling into fog of war, because anytime they did that, we just had to play respectful. and that actually I think contributed to us, um, just losing in these first couple games. So. So right now you can actually see it too. The top lane has double the CS now of the Poppy, and Jin actually got a 20 CS lead from that one gank at the bottom lane. So when they killed Liz with that gank, I actually had to back off really far, and I couldn't really contest a lot of the minions until they were under my tower, and so I just ended up losing a lot. Meanwhile, the Jin got the kill, and he got um, the CS. So. And then here's us trying to kill the sets. So we could have probably killed the set here. Probably pulled him into the Death Realm, and so we just couldn't get the damage off. And I think probably actually overcommitted a bit here, and ends up dying. Yep. And then we get a Syndra, but at this point we got to back off because Rolex is TP'd in. Pick up the drag. They get another pick on Greg here. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so at this point, they also picked me off as well. And then they ended up, I'm pretty sure they killed Prowler here. Okay, so we do get the Syndra. We get the GP and stuff, but again, you see how, at this point, like, they're very hard to lock down. Even with all the CC that we had, we really lacked the damage. And so even though we caught the Rolexes there, the Jin was just free hitting everybody. And so, and that was without the set. And so, their comp was just hard for us. I think, like I said, our AP AD ratio is pretty bad, but this is them just kind of flexing with their advantage that they had. They got the tower, the rift. I'm just gonna fight these because I don't want to talk forever, guys. I don't want these VOD reviews to take forever. Okay, so we're just kind of setting up, waiting for the drag. They see us. Okay, so we're just trying to look for a pick here. I get hooked here, and then I get followed up by a Deadly Flourish. And you see how the set just kind of runs straight at me right now? And then I end up dying right away. And like I said, the GP ult comes in. So even though we got the essentially jump on them when they blew me up right away, like I said, it's with the GP ult he could just influence the team fights anyway. And again, with that tanky front line, we just didn't have the damage to actually shred them unless we got ahead. But at this point, they're so ahead that it didn't matter anyways. That our comp was even worse at this point. So. Rolexes is just constantly farming. And I did catch up on the CS, but at this point I'm 4 kills down, so I'm not gonna do much. Greg is also even with the kills, but Greg is down about 20 CS, which isn't too bad again. But they were able to take the mid tower and a rift and drags and stuff. And then I whiffed that arrow right there. I'm just gonna keep going for it. And then here they kill Sig top again because like Slack is just doing his thing. He just roams around and helps out his lanes very well. And and this isn't a hit on Prowler, but like I said, with the Mordekaiser, it was more of a farm champion. So it actually didn't. The champ itself didn't allow Prowler to actually play as proactive as he probably normally would have. And he couldn't really force ganks or nothing against a team like that, against a slippery team like that, because even at the end of the day, they're very slippery. So every time, so with how our comp was, if we wanted to try to look for fights and engages, but their comp was actually just very good at just disengaging as well as engaging. Because if we ran into them, they would throw on a GP ult, or they could just ult away anyone who walked at them, or like Thresh could just lantern, and so they had a lot of tools to just engage and disengage too, and so that kind of made their team comp scary. So, just gonna fly through this. So this was an okay fight, but Rolex's lands a huge barrel, and also it's a 5v3, we just end up losing. So at this point, it's already 10k go down. They're just running right through our team. We're trying to fight, but again, at this point, we're getting stat checked. They just have too many items, and they're just too strong to really do anything about. Even if we did find a perfect engage, it'd be hard to win. So they get the soul, and they blow me up right away again, and then they just clean up, and they get Baron. And I'm pretty sure they just push to end. Yeah, they just push to end. They just blow up everybody, and then they just end. And this was the first and the fastest game because they just did a really good job at snowballing the game and getting those early advantages with those ganks, and then that kind of just slowly snowballed into them getting objectives, and yeah, they just did a very good job at just pushing everything. They probably could have ended much earlier, but then I don't know what they were doing, but it's fine. But you guys can see at this point, like, even though it's a 3v2, we cannot do anything to them. They just have too much damage. And they were able to just, like, yes, they were just able to just kill me even though it was win a 2v4 fight, yeah. And they get a kill here, and we lose. Alright, let's go to game number 2. Okay. So, going up to pick and ban. Same thing. Yi, Volibear. And then we ban away the GP because, again, last game it was tough because, again, the GP, as you guys saw for yourself, the GP was able to get really far ahead in lane and get the islands, and he just, with his ult, he was able to affect the entire map. And so we were just like, okay, let's just take away the GP. Because we didn't, we just didn't want that to happen again. And then we took away the Samira again because I think at this point we were more scared of Wally Samira. We weren't scared, but we were just worried that it might pop off, and so we just took away because we said, okay, well, we've played in the Ezreals before, we've beaten them before, so we just thought it'd be fine to give away the Ezreal. And again, they do the same exact bans. And this time we take out the Jhin because we're like, okay, along with the, so Ashe was a good pick, but Jhin is actually just, in my opinion, just a better pick into Ashe. Jhin is just stronger. And so here they pick away the Ezreal before it gets banned away, which is pretty smart. And then again, they go right back to the set before it gets banned away. And we take away Prowler's Nocturne. And then we take the Malphite. And then they take the Mordekaiser here. So I know so the thing is, the reason why they took a Mordekaiser here is I do know that, what is it? So we played a team earlier in the split where they said that they didn't quite know how to play into 6 champ pool, and so they just picked up the Mordekaiser. It might have been Rolex's actually. And so, again here they just took away the Mordekaiser. And then they banned, so at this point they banned away the Swain. So our reasoning for this, the reason we picked these champs for this game was we said, all right, well, if we let Wally get the Ezreal, when you think about the last game, I think that we just thought that we didn't have enough engage. Like, if we just needed to blow someone up, and then get them, so we could change the numbers in the fights, and then that's how we win. So that's why we went with our comp. Then we ban away against the support. And then, this is where they took away the Swain and the Lex. So we couldn't really flex anything. Then we took away the Thresh. And they just picked the tank line. And then we got Greg's Nico and Liz's Braum. And they picked up with the Galio here. Okay, so I I remember in this game, it was so. This game, I think we were pretty comfortable with most of our picks until we got to the Braum. Um, I think Braum was probably a big mistake on our part because Liz, for the most part, when we played during the split in practice, she never really practiced or played Braum. I think we just picked it for the situation against the Alistar, and I think that was actually just a pretty bad plan, just because going into the finals here, I don't think it was very smart to ever just play something that we weren't really comfortable with and good at. Greg's Nico is very good as well, but the big problem in this game, what you see later on, is um, they just got way too tanky. With our comp, even though we had a lot of engage, they just went full disengage and tank. And so no matter what so even if we got the perfect engage onto, let's say, a Wally here, um, they could just follow up with Trufflesaurus's Galio ult, and they also had the Mordekaiser to just ult, either me, Greg, Prowler, or Malphite out of the fight completely, and none of our champs can 1v1 a Mordekaiser, and so we again, when you watch later on in the game, you'll see that even though I think that we played pretty well and we got picks that we liked, we just simply could not shred through their team. So we'll jump forward here, jump through the delay. So I'm just gonna skip this fight because I won't do this too long. Okay, so we got a kill here. Okay, so here Prowler gains early, and Truffle actually dies because he messed up his dash and he flashed early, which is fine. So the game's already different on our end. We're already doing quite a bit better. You look at the CS again, Prowler's ahead of Slack, Greg's about even, and me and Wally are even in the bot lane. The top lane is going in Rolex's favor this time around again. And then here they try to, engage under Prowler, but Alistar and Set were just too far to be able to follow up anything. Deadly Flourish comes in. Greg just flexing with the Nico clone. So even with that kill, they kind of slowly caught up with the they slowly caught up with the gold again, mainly through the top lane CS difference. Oh, what happened here? All right, so they try to go on the Nico here, and Prowler does a good job of just being close enough to follow up with the ult, and Slack ends up dying. And so now we have Prowler on the drag because we were able to push the lane in. Oh. Alexis is just kind of roaming down, push the lane up just so you can roam and try to harass Prowler. We're still slightly, barely ahead, but not really doing much with the lead. Again, see the CS at the bottom, we're completely even. Greg's up a little bit, Prowler's up a little bit, but top lane is still up about 40 CS. So they saw Prowler doing Rift, so they came down to fight. And again, this is something they did very well. You see how what happened here is Alistar was already up here, and Nine Lives was always very, very good at just kind of roaming and just helping out the teammates. But in this case, like I said, we wanted to contest this Rift Herald, and Greg actually saw a good opportunity to go in with his ult because they didn't have vision in this bush here. But you also see how Gallo came right away with his ult and just kind of negated everything. And so, again, Mordekaiser pulled Prowler and Sig into the fight there. And so at this point, it's already lost because they have a number advantage. Because you can actually see, you can see Liz down here over the middle here. Greg already went in with his ult and he flashed out. And they pulled in Prowler and Sig already. So unless Sig ults out, Prowler's going to die regardless because, the fight's just lost at this point already. So, yep. So they can try, but Prowler's dead. Sig is dead. Alex actually managed to pick up the Galley here, which is fine, but it's not a great trade because, overall we still lost 2-for-1, and at this point, and they also got ripped. So at this point, they're ahead in lane again. So here I try to step forward and just kind of pressure Wally, force out his flash. They just block everything. But you can see how I'm trying to force something here. But they just, again, put more gold into Rolex's top. Meanwhile, we're just focusing on the mid lane. Managed to get a few things down, but, And then within that few minute time frame, they got ahead about 2,000 gold. And so they just kept the lead. Prowler's bot clearing. And then they all just run at Prowler again. And he gets away, but then here they are again. Yes. So this is one of the things that they did too. They just kind of ran around, like they're just running, bouncing back and forth a lot, and they have the tools to do that too. But they're stacking 5 here. Sig is top, and it's a 4v5. And again, Rolex's lands a really, really good grass, and he pulls me and Greg in, and now they just full engage. Greg gets a nice ult down here, but you see at this point. Look at this. So they catch us, but we get Liz's Braum ult in. Like Liz lands a perfect ult on everybody in this team fight. Greg also lands an ult. Prowler gets onto the back line. Ezreal gets out, right? But we just do not have the damage to kill them. So we kill Truffle, but then again, Prowler dies, and at this point, it's already the fight's kind of over. Alex goes in again, but wait, do we win this? Oh no, yeah. At this point, we just don't have the damage because they're just too tanky. So Liz melts down. Alex has, Malphite, once you go in with your ult, you just can't really do much anymore in the fights. And so, like I said, Mordecai just burned Braum and Malphite down, and Ezra was just free hitting in the back. Meanwhile, Slack just kind of was just a face tank, was just tanking everything as well. So they're now 3,000 gold ahead. So again, in that last fight, we landed everything. We landed Braum ult, Nico ult, Nocturne ult on the right target. We landed Malphite ult, not together, but if the Malphite probably came earlier, it might have made a difference. But again, we just didn't have the damage because at this point, Ezra has a more amount of Anish. Well, this might have been after the fact, but they have more completed items than I think we did, and they're just tankier, so it would have taken a lot more to shred through them. So there's me just greeting for CS because I didn't want to get too far behind. Ezreal's, Wally's in mid, but Icy just sits in this bush just to cover, just in case anyone engages. Again, which is something that a lot of people don't do, but it's very smart to do. Okay. So normally I wouldn't be here, but with again how the game's been playing out so far, at this point I knew that Wally was getting a little bit ahead of me, based off of the towers and based off of the last couple of fights. And so the reason why I went bot lane, um, was again a little bit greedy of me, but it was also to soak up solo XP, so that I could kind of keep up with Wally. Because in the mid lane, if him and Icy are sharing the XP, like it's, he's gonna, I'm gonna slowly get ahead of him. Is the idea. And then they did a good job here killing Truffle Top and just getting the tower, just to kind of equalize something. And then Stack just roams down to help Rolex just hard push this. And I can't really do much here. And then Rolex rolls down, tries to engage, misses. And then they just stack 4 bot. And then they just engage. No, never mind. So we try to trade this for, I think, Rift? Yeah. But, And that's kind of how the comp works, when you actually look at it. They have a super hard dive comp as well, so we can't really defend anything. We have Nico and Braum ults, but if Slack and Icy are diving you under a tower, they aren't gonna die, especially with the Galio to follow up and Wally just free hitting. And that's again, that's the whole. That's how they play for most of the split. They created a lot of space for Wally and Rolexes to just kind of clean up, and yeah. So at this point, it's kind of getting dire. Like they aren't that far ahead. They have 2,000 gold. The 2,000 gold ahead. We're up 1 kill, and they have a few towers. But at this point, like it's getting kind of scary because now they can just start flexing, even if we're not that far behind with their comp. So Prowler gets the Rift, which is good. They're just kind of fixing the lanes, getting good pushes out. We throw down the Rift. Don't get much value because we don't get any plates, but we also got another second rush too, so that's good. No drag's coming up. And if you actually look at it, so with drag coming up, Sig is still top. We have Prowler and Greg here, but then they're collapsing with Mordekaiser and Ezreal, and Gallo's already bot. And so at this point, like, this is a fight that this is probably a position that we shouldn't really even be in anymore because, they clearly, they clearly kind of just started moving bot already to set up for this drag, and they already got wards down. If you actually look at the map, they have a ward down in our tri bush, and they have a ward down in our red bush here, and they have a pink in the river here, so they already have the dragon set up. So, yep. And here, so they try to harass a little bit, and at this point, Rolex is already in a position to kind of just like stall and kill Prowler or Greg, and Ezreal's just about to come down too. And at this point, you see Slack just kind of running at him. Oh, I forgot. Never mind. They just let us through. But now they're stacking 5, and then it's a 4v5 against Sig is still top, trying to catch that wave and push it out because Rolex's set it up earlier. Now we're just playing dance around the bush, or dance around the river. Sig actually backs, and Sig starts to run straight towards Drag Pit. And then they start drag, and then what happens? Man. Yeah. Yeah, that was tough. Okay. Okay, so what happened here? So we had them in the drag pit here, and we actually did a ton of damage to them. So we got Greg's ult down. We had my ult up. We had Prowler's ult in, and we had I'm pretty sure we had Liz's ult in there too, or whatever. If anything, we landed most of our stuff. And then Galio ults right here. So right now Sig is distracting. Oh, Rolex has pulled Sig into the death realm to just kind of get him out of the fight. So he's just going to be a tank anymore. And so at this point, me and Greg were just kind of hitting in here and hitting Galio and I think the set here. And Galio does his ult does just enough to keep Slackosaurus alive long enough. And at this point, Prowler already went in with his ult, so Prowler can't really, and he didn't burst anyone, so he can't really do much. At this point, me and Greg, though, are still very healthy and alive, and we're just hitting at their backline here. And, you know, Slack runs away, and this whole time, Sig is still in the death row, and this whole time, Wally is still just poking and hitting us. And so we were able to kill the Alistar. I was able to kill the Slack right here. But then Wally was still healthy enough that he just kind of kept killing me, hitting me. And here, one more shot onto that Mordekaiser might have killed him, but then, you know, Rolex just gets a really good hook onto us, and he ends up killing, Liz. And Wally was just hitting us this whole time, with none of us being able to get him, because we were so focused on trying to cut down their front line first. And so Rolex pulls us in, kills Liv with that, and then he hits me with his, I think his Q, and the fight's just over at that point. Yeah. And Greg doesn't have the burst to kill Wally. Wally's just healing up enough to stay alive. So, yeah. So the beginning of that fight was actually really good. We got a lot of our tools down. We got a lot of what we wanted to do in the fights, but again, we just with Wally on Ezreal, we just could not get onto him. And Ezreal's just that kind of champ where unless you blow him up or unless you have a lot of tools to just lock him down, he's gonna get away, especially with a tank line and front line like this. Like, it's gonna be really hard to actually just get him. So they go down, they push down our mid tower, and at this point they're 3,000 gold ahead. They're not, even though they're 3,000 gold ahead, I think at this point we're still pretty comfortable. Because if you look here, right now I'm 4-1-1, so I'm really strong, or I'm strong enough, and Truffle is 0-5-5. And so right now, all their most of their advantages are in Wally and Rolexes. But again, that's how they like to play with Alistar, set creating space, and Truffle just to keep them alive. Wally and Rolex can just run wild in these fights, and so they position for drag here. They get all the setup down. Yeah, we get a few hits onto Icy Flip here, and then we just kind of ran them, couldn't do much. Let me try to clear all the wards. So I see super low here, but they're still playing kind of confident. But you see how Greg's snare didn't do anything to Rolex's Mordekaiser. So we pushed them off the Baron. But they're still really confident again because they know that they're strong. They know that they're tanky enough. And so we engaged into Sayer, and yep. So we just spent the Malphite ult and the Braum out on this set, and I don't think we kill him because Galio just jumps right in, and he lives. And with that big shield there, you know, now the fight's just over because at this point, unless we blew someone up or unless we like just blew someone and changed the numbers, we weren't going to win this follow-up because now they have more sustained damage and they can just follow up more. So even if Greg lands that ult right there, we killed the Alistar, but Prowler's dead in the back line. Prowler's not going to get through the set, and he's not going to catch on to Ezreal without his ult. So we got Galio there, and Rolex just pulled Sig into the Death Realm, and we still couldn't get the Ezreal. Ezreal got away. We got the set. Wow, we actually won. I forgot. Okay, so you win. But I think I remember. This is where Wally just pops off and just murders us all. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Wally just murders us all right here. And meanwhile, we're getting hit by the Baron. Yep, and at this point they just TP in, kill us all. And this is probably where just thinking turns. So, I'm sorry. So even though we won that fight, like even though we did a really good job and won that fight and positioned well, again, this is just a big mistake. I'm pretty sure it was my mistake where we called for Baron because we thought, hey, Wally, we at least thought that Wally, hey, is not strong enough, or we have enough. Even though we're so low, we have enough tools that we could just blow him up if he tries to come into us. And he just did a really good job. He held his flash for that whole entire fight still, and so he was able to E away and then flash away as well to create space. So they TP in here, kill us all, get the drag or get the Baron. And now they're just positioning for drag again. And you see here, Rolex just pulls Liz into the depth realm. And Liz just, I think, runs away, right? No. Oh no, at this point, Rolex has pulled, yeah, Rolex has pulled me into the zone. Yes. So Mordekaiser pulls the Jin into the zone here, depth zone here, and so you just can't do anything. Jin's not the type that a champ to, 1v1 a bruiser tank like that. And so Prowler ults onto the Ezreal, but then you see how Ezreal jumped right over the wall here again, and then Alistar actually flashes in to just knock him up as well. And Sid goes in on Alistar, and at this point it's all disjointed because at this point I'm already dead. It probably didn't get Ezreal on the first time because then Ezreal's gonna just get away with his E, and they just clean up because they're just too tanky. So yeah, and at this point they're about 7,000 gold ahead. They got a bunch of kills. Got drag, got Baron, got towers. The game's pretty much, I think, over at this point. Although they did play it pretty slow, I think. Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, so they just ran on us and murdered us. Yep. So even though we kill Rolexes, again, they're just too tanky. Like, we can't do it. Galio goes in, Zed goes in, Alistar's running at you. You have to run away from the headbutt knockup or else you're going to die. And then Wally's just going off as well. Probably gets a good kill onto Galley here. Then I try to follow with my ult, but again, they're just alive because they're just too tanky. Again, Wally gets free, Ezreal gets the free hit, everything. And, they just flexed. And then I think they're positioning for the Baron or Drag, maybe both. Okay, so they ran towards Drag, so we're like, all right, we have to trade because at this point we already knew that we're in a bad position, and so we're like, all right, they might want this Drag, so we're like, let's just force the Baron. Let's just try to trade. Let's try to pop it down before they can get here, and they just, I think we kind of mistimed it a little bit because we should have actually waited for the Drag to come up for them to start doing it. But like I said, we started a little bit early, and here's where the memes about the Baron start for us. But they just, since we started a little bit early, they didn't have to worry about the dragon. They just ran straight towards Baron, and this is where you can kind of see that, the tankiness just, their tankiness just kind of kept them alive. So we land all this stuff, but then they're just too tanky, and we just could not shred through them. So I ended up picking up the Alistar. But you see how they're all still full health even after all that with all the shielding and all the healing. Well, probably not too much healing, but just a lot of the shielding. So they TP in and the base. So again, this comp was just really tanky unless we had like more consistent damage or anything like that. We just weren't going to shred them. So let's go to game 3. Okay, so this is where stuff starts to get fun. So again, they start off with the Master Yi ban. We go Volibear. They go Morgana, as always. We go Ezreal this time because we're like, alright, Wally was too big of a problem last game. Let's just take away the Ezreal. Because even with all the engaged tools that we had, the Ezreal with his E and Flash, mainly his E, it was just too easy of a way for him to just get out of any position he was in and just reposition and tear us apart. So they focus, I think, the Ornn here again, and then we just go, all right, let's take out the GP. So at this point, we take out. So this is where I think that we started actually just realizing like, okay, let's just take away these key champions they had. If you guys remember back at the beginning, they, I told you about how they like to create space and fights with GP and Volibear just running at you and the GP ult. And so at this point, we're like, all right, GP's ult in the first game was a really big problem, so we don't want Rolexes to have the agency anymore around the map. And then we also didn't want, we were just like, screw Samiro. We didn't want Wally to have a nice get out of jail free card with the Ezreal E, and we still just didn't want to give Slack Volibear because Volibear is just, he's just really good at it. So again, they take away the set right away to kind of cover. And then here we take Urgot. And then this is actually, again, this goes back to what I said before about how Prowler has one of the bigger champion pools, and this is just something that he practiced on his own, and he was just like, he just told us, hey, Urgot got buffed, and he does a lot of damage to monsters and minions right now, and so we were just like, hey, just do it. You know, at this point, we were like, what's there to lose? So then we were able to grab Liz's Swain, because again, the last game when she was on the Braum, it wasn't something that she played a lot, and so we wanted to just get her on comfort. They go the Jhin again to take away. And then they pick the Nautilus. So this time they picked Nautilus early. I think just to couple it up with the Jhin, but the thing is we also banned Nautilus both times in a row early on. And so they just decided they wanted to save the last two picks for their solo laners, which is fine, you know. Because at this point, I'm also guessing that they thought Urgot was going to be top, and so they didn't expect Prowler to take in the jungle. And at this point, they also didn't know if Swain was going to be Greg or Liz. Oh, pick the Maokai. Okay, so if you just look at this comps right now, when we grab the Maokai, so now if you actually look at it, now we just have a super beefy front line. We have a Maokai, we have a Swain, and an Urgot, and so I mean that was our kind of adaptation. So at this point, even if Truffle and Rolexes, or I'm sorry, not the names of, but even if Nautilus and Set engage in us, we have the proper take line right now and the CC to just kind of really just deal with it. So we take away the Mordekaiser because it was a big problem last game, so you're just gonna take away anything. And then here you actually see how they, so you see how they took away my Jhin, and then they also banned away the Ashe, because like, all right, well, we want to take pointing off of all the utility AD carries he's been playing a lot. So we took away so here we took away his Truffle Syndra, again the range stun, that way Nautilus and Set can't follow up with the Jhin and stuff. Because that's actually pretty disgusting. If a Syndra stuns, Jhin can just follow up with Deadly Flourish, Nautilus can just follow up with a hook or an ult, and Set can just follow up with, again, everything as well. So that's something that we just did not want to deal with. And then here, again, they target the AD carry, you know, so they wanted, so here they took away the Jhin, but they also wanted to really just, from what I could see, just pinch my champ pool. Because at this point they knew that we already have most of our top lane, and they just didn't want to give me anything comfortable. So I picked Kog'Maw. So I think this actually threw him off a ton, because what a lot of people don't know is I actually play Kog'Maw a lot. We actually practice Kog'Maw a lot as well in just our random like flex queue games. But the thing is, Kog'Maw is very, he's very niche. And so the reason why I picked him this round was because in the last game, like, you guys saw how I stressed out how tanky they were. So no matter how good of a setup or how good of a fight we had, we just could not shred them, because at the end of the day they just shielded up and they just frontline. they were just so bulky that they just ran at us that we just couldn't kill them all. And so this was our answer to that, because at this point they have a Nautilus and a Set, so they already have the whole there and the Jin, so they already kind of have the beginning of the setup that they want. And so I was just like, hey, let's just pick the Kog'Maw. I didn't feel comfortable picking the Vayne because of the range advantage with the Jin, but the thing was the Kog'Maw is I was like, at least I felt more comfortable on the Kog'Maw, and he does percentage health damage, and so that's why we picked the Kog'Maw here. And then a Jax would have been actually really good into the comp too, but then Rolex wanted Vlad. And then Orianna. So I think here they picked the Orianna probably because they saw like a Death Ball comp with the Mordekaiser, Swain, and Urgot. And then we actually ended up picking the Brand last for Greg. So I think that the Kog'Maw and the Brand actually threw them off really, really hard this game, because Brand was something that Greg also practiced a lot, but we never brought these. So we had a few champs that we just never brought out into the LCUS because we just knew what we were good at, and we just kind of started sticking to it. But with this last game when we were down 0-2, we were just like, you know what, screw it, let's just play what we want and play what we think is good. And so Greg was actually, practicing a lot on Brandon. He's like, man, this champ just got buffed. I think people are sleeping on him. And so we just like, yeah, just fucking do it. So yeah. Yeah. So this is actually really good. So if you look how their comp wants to play. So right now they have, I think that one of the big difference about 9 Lives of comp here is they have their setup where they have the Set and the Nautilus to engage, and they have the Orion to back up, and they have the Jin to follow up as well. But the thing is, the Vlad, I don't think fit into this comp very well, because the Vlad, although he was very strong in this game, he didn't have the same tools to follow up like a GP would, or how Mordekaiser was. He couldn't really do much, especially not against a Maokai, a tank line like that. He can't shred, he can't burn like the Mordekaiser can. So, yeah. And then this is also a lane where I told Liz, I'm like, look, this is just gonna be, whenever you play Kog'Maw, it's just gonna be a losing lane unless you have like, unless you're just really, really, really lane dominant. And so with, again, as I explained earlier, with the Jin, and the Jin with a hard CC support is a very, very hard lane to play against. So at this point, I already know I'm gonna lose lane, and I just told Liz, hey, look, we'll just play safe, stay back and farm, but let's just not do anything. And it's not just to play into the whole Kog'Maw as a scaling champ narrative, but it's just, if we try to step up, we will not win these fights, especially not early on. So let's skip forward a little bit here. So again, Greg is doing pretty good at CSing mid. He's already got a little bit of lead. Sig is down a little bit, not a big deal. I'm gonna keep going forward. So you see how at this point, sorry, Greg is jumping in the mid. Vlad is jumping Sig, but Sig is actually doing much better now. You see how Sig is actually just pretty much even. At this point, like, Rolexes doesn't have the same agency as he does with a GP just constantly poking. And also Sig is a very, very good Maokai player. Like, he has more tools at this point too, and he doesn't have to walk up like a Poppy would to CC something. He doesn't have to walk up like a Malphite would, because he's not a melee. He's still a melee champ, but he still at least has his plans to farm. And so you actually see the bot. So we're like barely ahead of goal, which doesn't matter. It's almost non-existent. But you see how I just kind of backed. I just kind of backed up and let Wally and them push into us, because again, I knew that if we stepped up, if we didn't freeze lane, that you're just asking to die into a Nautilus Jin. So then Prowler clears both his jungle, gets a scuttle. So you see the big difference here. Sig is tankier than Vlad right now, and Sig is actually going in for trades, and he's actually winning them. Same thing with Slack, and Slack is getting killed here. And so this is the big difference here. At this point, if you look at it, at this point, it's 3 minutes, 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At this point, in the first two games, Rolexes was up on CS, probably about 20 CS on Sig. And at this point, he's only up 2, and Sig is winning these trades. Like that's I don't think that can be understated because that's actually pretty significant, like a significant change from the first two games. Go in here, they harass Slack. Slack does something. Yeah, so you see here, Alex is winning these trades top. That's crazy. So I think this is something that, again, the Vlad. I don't think the Vlad fit into this comp, but also I don't think that this is something that he actually expected to happen, and he actually could have killed Rolexes there if he hit the snare right. But this is a whole new dynamic. So at this point, this is not normal. You know, Rolex isn't he's not used to being pushed back. He's not used to being down like this against a Sig especially. And so I think that this is something that just kind of changes the whole dynamic of how they play the game. So because at this point his team and himself Nine Lives are expecting him to just be ahead and just to be strong, just to be able to flex. So Sig actually does a really good job playing as Maokai. Oh, just keep hitting them. Look at that. Okay, so Slack comes up to relieve some pressure. I don't know. I forget if they kill him or not, but you know, Rolexes can't really do much. Can't really step up, and then Prowler shows up, and they blow all their flashes. So Prowler does a good job here, just following up. But yeah, we got a good trade down there. Yeah, they try to hook, they miss. Liz lands a thing, and then yeah, we actually went out on this trade against the Kog'Maw, or against the Jhin. So top now has a lead because what is it? He was able to actually pick with the pressure from Slack. He was actually able to pick up that huge wave that was pushing. So we'll keep going. Wait, did I flash there? No, I didn't. Okay. So look at this. We're still winning these trades. Like if I was playing a Jhin into this lane too, which I do in the last game, like this is something that I would be doing too. I would be flexing. I would try to be pushed and trying to get kills. But like I said, when I played Kog'Maw, I played so defensively and so far back because again, I didn't want to give them any advantage. That I think it really gave them a hard time, and it really made it hard for them to really do anything in lane like they wanted to. Because Jhin and Nautilus are there to dominate lane, and if you're not going to dominate lane, what's the point, right? And then again, Sig is down again. He's down a level. He's down like almost 30 CS, and he's still winning these trades against Rolexes. Yep. What a boss. Alright. Let's keep going, keep going. So this is actually a pretty slow game. No kills at 10 minutes. Or no kills this early on yet. And again, you see how the lanes whenever they scroll by, you see how the lanes always just kind of frozen in front of the tower there. So again, they can't really do anything. Slack is dragged. Okay. So here, Slack is getting dragged, and they rotate. This bot lane rotates up, but you see how icy. So normally, hard engaging like that is good. Like it's a smart thing to do. It's a smart thing to just hard engage and try and blow them up. But what they didn't calculate was Greg at this point. Greg is 2 levels up on them, and Greg has ult, and Liz and myself. We all rotate up. So Sig probably didn't need a TP here, but Sig, he did a really good job just roaming down at this point as well. And so as soon as I see Flash hooked in, they just died because Greg just melted them. Everyone just melted them, and they just end up dying. And so I'm hitting Wally down bot lane here. Yeah, yep. Prowler catches him, and he's dead. So we get 3 kills in the span of like 10 seconds, and now we're up 2k gold. And Liz gets the 2 kills in the bot lane as well, and I think that's gonna play in big later. But yeah, I don't think they expected the damage and the rotations there. So now they run top, and did they catch the Vlad? Oh yeah, they do catch the Vlad. Yeah, so we get those 3 kills, and they run top, and they just get Rolex. They just kill Rolexes straight up top, and so now pick up 4 kills. Slack is there to cover. Truffle's not pushing mid. So even with that kill lane, I'm only down 9 CS on Jin, and Jin has a death already, and Liz has 2 kills. So at this point, if you look at the items, Jin has Boots of Swiftness and a BF sword, and I have a Cutlass. But Liz has a, what is it, this Haunting Guys, I think. I don't know these names, guys, so don't judge me. So Liz has a lot of damage at this point already. Like, this early on in the game, those items are huge. And so that's why, and Greg also has that too. And so that's why I said those kills are essential on the Swain. Like, even though, like, and ideally you don't want kills going on to a support, but a support Swain that gets ahead is a scary support, like, Swain. Like, that's not something that you want to deal with this early on without the damage. So, because at this point, even if they hard engage with Jin and Nautilus, they're not going to be able to cut through the Swain, because Swain is so Nautilus is a tank support. He doesn't do damage. His main goal is just to CC. Swain is a mage bruiser, and so but Swain also works as a very good support too. So at this point, when you think about the damage, distribution, if they engage, the only real danger is the Jin. But if they engage, we have damage not just from a Kog'Maw, but we also have damage from a fed Swain. And so when you have 2 damage sources like that, against one, even if it's a tanky Nautilus, which it's not, because at this point he only has, he doesn't even have a full item yet, they're not going to win those trades. So those 2 kills are really big for the bot lane here. So Greg rolls up and helps. And they're just constantly trying to push bot lane. But again, this is a game where I'm just like, okay, I'm fine with just not doing much. Greg is still pretty even mid. Jungle is pretty even, probably has 1 kill up. Top lane, Sig is actually doing he's not doing even, but he's not doing bad because he doesn't have 1 death, and he's only down 20 CS at this point, which normally he's down probably about 30, 40. Okay, I think I remember this part here. So Prowler comes down, and you'll notice what's happening. You'll notice my position here. You'll notice how I start kind of stepping up. So when Prowler came down, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna try to see if I can bait him actually with my bot. And I literally said that in the chat. And you notice how I start positioning up like I normally wouldn't, because I know that I see again. If you notice how he flashed hooked Brand earlier, he's got a really good eye at just looking for engages, and so that's why I purposely put myself out there. Like normally I would be way further back here just farming whatever I could. But with Prowler here, I was like, all right, well I'll just step up and see what he does. And so here, yep, they engage, and Prowler just walks in, and Icy is dead. And now I get a kill, and then Prowler throws down a rift. We get some plates. Yeah. And Jin really can't step up here too, because again, if Liz catches him with a snare, he's just dead straight up as well. So while he's just trying to catch XP and some CC. But I mean that's huge. Like I said, we're up 3,000 gold now. Up 5 kills. Down CS a little bit. Down CS a little bit, but that's normal. Like that's expected. So I think this is where Rolexus starts kind of getting a little bit strong once he's picked up, um, you know, his rod, needlessly large rod, um, and this is where he starts kind of doing damage. Sig should have probably ran back here, but Sig kind of went in, and then he should also back here too, but he just stuck around a little bit too longer than he should have, and then Rolexus just re-engages onto him. Like Rolexus at this point will out-sustain because Sig doesn't have the mana to do much about it. So, yep, just as. We traded that for the drag. So now, at this point, Rolex is starting to kind of get into the groove where he starts kind of expanding that CS lead and starting getting kills and do damage. And same plan. Prowler came down and we just thought, hey, let's see if we can do that again. But they were smart. They didn't really engage on us again this time. Also, a big thing you notice about this game is Slack Set in the jungle didn't gank nearly as much as he did in the first two games. He's just been kind of like doing his own thing. He's just been farming, and so he hasn't been as relevant. And you can kind of see that in the CS too. He's up like 80 CS on Prowler, but Prowler still ahead a little bit on the gold. But Set hasn't been as influential as he was before, and so I think our laners were able to play much more comfortable. Alright. Bot lane's not too bad. Keeping up with CS. Greg is just farming. Greg's got Leandries by now. Alright, I'm gonna just skip through this. So probably just pressuring bot with us. Sig is still kind of winning these trades. Not the extended trades, but he's winning these short trades. But, no one's going to win extended trades with Vlad, Oh, that's weird. Then we pick up the tower here. Then I think we're waiting for a drag here. But they all reset now. They're all just running towards the drag pit. We already have a setup, so we're fine. Greg chunks IC. And Sig is top. I'm bot. I'm just fixing this lane down here, so it pushes out. I think they might try to engage on me, and I just get out here too. I think, yeah. We saw him coming in, and I just get out. And then Rolex goes in, and then Prowler catches him. Then, so what happened is when they opened up, Vlad tried going in on me, and I just like fought and then made him force his flash out, and then I just kept going in, because at this point they blew a lot. I knew they blew a lot of stuff already. But with the ruins and stuff, it kept Vlad alive long enough, and we killed both Vlad and Nautilus. And then I think on the backside they killed Slack with Prowler. So we got a drag here. I think we push for this tower. No, we don't. Not yet. No, we're just playing ARAM mid, trying to protect these towers. I'm still just sitting bot lane here. So again, this goes back to what I was saying earlier. So you see how the Jin was kind of just doing his thing. I just stayed as a Kog'Maw. I just decided I was gonna stay bot lane and just soak up the solo XP and just get this solo farm. Because at this point, we just took objectives, and this is another way for me to get ahead. So Jin runs up top, but I just stay down here even though it's against Fed Vlad. This is a lot of times people will say this is playing greedy or playing selfish and stuff, but in my opinion, it's probably one of the it's one of the small things you can do to just kind of stay ahead. At this point, I'm already ahead. Like, even though I'm down 20 CS, I had 2 kills. I have Blade of the Ruined King, and we got first 2 towers. And so, shoot, what happened here? Okay, so Slack actually steps up. My team rotates down on him and force out his flash, and I think we kill. Yeah, we kill him. So we're just bullying Slack now. He's 0-3 and 0. Oh, I'm sorry. So this game is completely different now because compared to the first two games, you'll notice how they always generally tended to have stronger advantage, and they were better and faster at roaming in the first two games. But this game, we were just with I think how it goes all the way back to that first time IC tried to engage on us. I think that really threw them off, and that kind of made them play a little bit more passive because at that point they were like, holy shit, option 12 has a lot of damage, and so that kind of I think that made them hesitate quite a bit in what they wanted to do, and so they just kind of changed how they played and started playing more defensively. I could be wrong, but that's just how I saw it. And so the game is just a lot slower than it was, and they weren't forcing a lot like they were. Pretty sure I die soon, but everyone's just playing ARAM for a while, and I'm just trying to pick up this solo farm in the side lane. I think we're waiting for drag to come up again. Oh, and then yep, I think here Slack steps up to. I think Slack greeted for that ward, and we just run him down. Yep, we just kill him. Get a kill on myself. And so, something I think people won't notice is, sometimes when you're playing solo queue, you'll get people to say, "Was it worth?" Or they'll say, "Wow, you guys use all these ults on me. You guys use all these flashes and engage tools on me. Was it worth?" A lot of times it is worth. I think one of the big problems that people have playing League sometimes is they're just too greedy with their summoners and their spells, and so sometimes even if someone's way out of position, they will, I've had teammates who will not force something, or they won't do anything even though they have flash and ults up because they're just too scared. They're just trying to hold it for the perfect moment, and so. And so, like I said, even though it looked like we committed a lot to killing the set there, at this point, whenever we do that, we change the dynamic of the game. At this point, they know it's a 5v4, and they know that they have a huge disadvantage already, and so that just allows us to get a free drag. They're not going to contest us of 4v5 unless they're very confident or unless they're really far ahead. Also, there's a mental aspect to this too. At this point, if you're no matter who you are, if you're 0-4-4, or if you're 0-3-3 or 0-5 and whatever, no matter who you are not gonna be in the right mental space. Because at this point, you're just gonna be like, shit, I gotta play safe. Shit, I can't do nothing. I can't push up because I'm just constantly dying. I don't want to be the inter. I don't want to be the feeder. And so, I think again that same concept plays later on into the game too, into other games. So. We kill Slack, we get a free drag here. Where the Goldie's not expanding too much because Rolex is about to flame Horizon. But it's been at 2,000 for. It's been at 2,000 for yeah, you see the gold difference, like 3,000 gold difference. It's been at about 2,000 gold difference. Now it's 3 for the past couple minutes. And it's just a lot much slower game, just a lot of farming. I'm just catching bot wave. Yep, and then Rolex just dies me here and dies. But you see how low I got him. He's so fed. He's like 2 levels up, and I still get him that low. And so at this point, I'm not even worried because I'm just telling myself like, okay, he's got 200 CS, he's got Rabadon's death cap, and I still was able to almost chunk him all the way. And so like, it sucks to die, yes, but when an ADC in these times can do that much damage, 1v1, like the other team's going to have problems. There's a lot of farming. I'm still just farming bot lane. No. So look at the items too at this point. At this point, we're like they have Depth Cap, Ludens, Storm Razor, but they don't have a lot of damage. If you look at our side, we have a Death's Dance, we have 2 Leandries, a Blade of the Ruin King, a Ginsu's, and an Executioner's. So at this point, it doesn't even matter because because that's not even counting the Kog'Maw percentage health damage. And so at this point, no matter what they do, they just cannot. We just have way more damage compared to them, and we have probably just as beefy or beefier tank line. So just setting up a lot of vision, poking. Just dancing back and forth. I think this is where, yeah, this is where Rolex is just trying to runs us down, and he does run, and he does get me, and he runs me down. You see how that Orianna ball is just kind of zoning everybody too, so we can't walk in. And that, again, that's just another truffle sort of like if he would be doing this, it would be the same exact thing with a Galio. All he does is throws down the ball or he stands up as a Galio, and he just zones out everybody. And they know that if we step up, Icy and Slack will just run at us and engage. And so I think in a little bit, Vlad actually gets impatient, and that's when he just runs at us. And here I'm like, okay, well, you see how they kind of, so they started up here and they slowly started backing up slowly. And at this point, I'm just like, okay, well, if you guys run away, I'll just start hitting this drag. And that's kind of, yeah, they tagged me there. They kind of wasted Jhin ult. And so here they saw, and Rolexus does a good job here. He saw the set was, we saw that set was starting to drag, so we kind of step up a little bit, and he runs in. But they were able to kill me, so they were able to kill me, but then they didn't, and they were able to kill Prowler as well with the Orianna. So this is really good, but what they don't account for is Liz and Greg. Like, remember how I told you they had those double Leandries and all that burn damage, all the AP damage? They didn't account for that. And so as soon as Wally dies, and actually Prowler didn't die, but you see how Prowler just shreds everyone, but Greg just sits here and Greg's just hitting them with the burn. And Prowler just goes off because Prowler's, again, it goes back to the thing. Now they have 2 tanks. They have Slack and Icy, and they have Wally. Wally as a Jhin is not going to shred through Prowler and Eternal, because Jhin just doesn't shred tanks. Like, Jhin hits hard, but he hits slow. And so at this point we have 2 bruiser front lines, with Prowler doing a lot more damage than Slack and Icy, and we still have Greg in the back just burning the hell out of everybody. And so Icy dies really, really, really fast here. And then Slack can't do anything to Greg. Greg's just doing a lot of damage to Greg. Greg's just burning him down. Oh, Greg does die, but Slack ends up dying to it. No. Oh, never mind. He doesn't. Oh, yeah, now he does. Yeah. So Jhin does a good job at Daylight, but they won that fight without B, because I died right away. And at this point, Prowler's just huge. Prowler's got 606. Get another tower. Then I buy a Negatron cloak to just kind of. I think I went for a wit's end here to just kind of negate the Vlad damage a little bit. And we're on soul point right now too. Then Prowler actually gets a good catch on the Rolexes here, and Rolexes dies. And that was actually huge, but because now Prowler's at a point where he's so strong that they need to answer him with at least 3 or 4 guys. But then this is where we just run straight to Baron. And you see how we just position for Baron, and then Wally and Icy had to fall back here. Yep, and then we just start doing Baron. Because as soon as Prowler got that kill, we were just like, okay, it's a 4v5 on the map. No one can solo Prowler. Then we just hard push this Baron down. And then Greg and them are just zoning out. Icy gets burned down here. Wally's way too far out to even hit us with ult. And so with the Kog'Maw and the burn damage we have from everybody, we just kill it. We just shred through the tank line, and we get a Baron. Reset here. And then I think we got we got Soul. And then here's a big mess that they had too. So I think Orianna, Truffle TP's here, and I'm just like, at this point I remember, just fucking go in. We have Elder Soul, and we have Baron. And that was just a really, like, that was, the idea was there. The idea was right from Truffle source, but to TP there, it's that late. He had to spend his TP and his flash just to get out from us. So they had to run there. And then you see how Vlad tries going on me over here. But the thing is, at this point, Vlad doesn't have the damage because at this point I already have my wit's end, and so he can't one-shot at me anymore. And so what happens is he goes in there and tries to blow me up. But all I do is I just flash over here, and I just start autoing him because now he can't hit me anymore. And then my team just follows up, and so I still stay alive. So with a little bit of MR, I managed to stay alive, and I just managed to flash over and kill him. And so now again, with Rolex is dead, they lose a ton of damage. None of their teams, no one else in their team is fed or has a lot of damage. And so with Vlad dead, we can just walk it right in with Soul and we can just walk it in with Soul and Baron. And then at this point, we're just like, oh, you know what, screw it. 20 seconds on the Vlad, just start autoing. Because at this point, we're so tanky, we can just afford to do that. Like, they're not going to kill the Maokai, they're not going to kill the Fed, the 10-0 Urgot at this point. And, yeah, we just go in and start killing everybody. And then, yeah, we end up winning. Pretty good game. But you notice how... So when you go back to it and think about the whole thing, you notice how even though the top lane, I think the top lane not smashing right away completely changed the dynamic of their team, and it made them play weird. Also, like I said, when Greg did all the damage to them at that first dragon fight, like, it just changed how they played completely. And so that, I think what it did is made them play all defensively, and it kind of made them play scared. And so from then, that combined with us just being really, really, really aggressive and just really spending, not being shy about using our summoners and tools to just catch people and kill them. I think that just led into us winning these fights really hard, and just objective control too. So. So, game number 4. Game number 4 starts about the same. Same 3 bans both sides. Grabbed the Urgot right away. Did really good for us last game. This time they picked Caitlyn because I don't think he felt comfortable enough on the Jhin, or maybe they were like, oh, Jhin can't shred these tanks fast enough, and so they went for Caitlyn. And they grabbed Slack the Syndra for the long range stun. And just burst damage in general. Then we get the Swain again, and at this point we already have our 2 beefy front lines again. And then we get the Maokai. So we have our front line again. They completely let everything through because they were worried about they wanted to ban out the Yi, Morgana, and the Ornn. They did not want to give Sig the Ornn at all this entire series. And then they picked Camille. So since they already saw the Maokai top, they were like, okay, we'll just pick Camille. Get into a super hard shove lane, and then they ban out the Brand because Greg did a lot of damage. He shredded through everybody, so they just took it away. And then we take out the Set. So at this point, this is the first time. So this is the first time that we actually got to ban out the Set and the Volibear. And so this actually also changed Slack's game as well too, because at this point, for most of the split, I believe he got either or champ, and so he was always playing a bruiser, frontline tank, and so yeah, that was the first time we did that, and so we were actually surprised. Um, and then again, they take over the Ash, so I think they were trying to force. They might have been trying to force me into the Jin here, but like I said, the Kog'Maw worked so well last game. I think we just pick it up as well. Yeah, they pick up the Xin Zhao, and at this point, I'm just like, all right, we'll just pick up the Kog'Maw again. The Jin probably would have did fine, but the Jin probably doesn't have, he doesn't attack fast. He attacks hard and slow. So once they brand Greg's brand, Greg just pulls out I think Annie, and we were like, okay, yeah, just fucking do the Annie. Annie pretty much does the same thing. I think she just got buffed too, and she does enough of the burn damage too. So we were pretty comfortable to have Annie as a replacement for that comp. And so, yeah. So you kind of see here how their team comp kind of changes. So since we took out the set Nautilus and the Volibear, that took away a lot of the front line that they generally like to play with. So now they don't have a front line; they just have the Thresh, and now they just have 4 carries. Against they have a Xin, Camille, and a Caitlyn against a Maokai, Swain, and Urgot. Unless like they find a shit ton of picks or kills, no matter what late game, we should win because we just have a better front line, and with the Annie and the Kog'Maw, we can shred them much faster even if they try to come in too. So now we just have a front line and a really, really, really strong back line, and they just kind of have a pick comp, but they don't have a nice strong front line like they would if they had a set or a Volibear. So we'll skip forward into the game. Oh, so right here they invaded Prowler early, and Sig tried to help out, and I don't know if they got a kill or not. Oh yes, Greg roamed up to try to help Prowler, but then they actually all roamed and they were able to kill Greg early, so Greg used TP here. Meanwhile, Kate roamed up mid, and so I was able to get solo farm on the bot lane alone. I pushed that in, so she actually lost a wave here too. Like, that's not normal. I don't know. That's something that I don't know why they will roam up like that, but I guess they just really wanted to start moving around the map and rotating. But that actually put Kate not too far behind because she's at 19. She's at more CS than me, but I think she lost a little bit of XP there. So this is also another game, same as last game. A Caitlyn Thresh lane is a kill lane, so it works very similar to the Jhin Nautilus lane. And so, again, my mindset going into this game was, okay, well, if I step up or I try to fight this, we will not win these trades. At least not yet. And so we just had to play safe, and we were going to lose. They were going to shove us. This game, you'll notice they were shoving us in super, super hard. And so no matter what, I was going to be down CS, and that was something I was just fine with because we just knew that we would make it up later on in the game. So I also think Wally went Caitlyn this round because he might have been frustrated that in the last game that they couldn't really do much with the Jhin Nautilus too. And Caitlyn is just sieges much harder and is just much stronger at pushing these lanes than Jhin is. And so I think that's why they want that route to be more lane dominant, but also to be able to shred tanks a little bit better. So skip forward here. It's kind of slow, so they're about 2,000 gold up. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so they're just constantly pushing, constantly shoving into lane. I'm down 20 CS. It's fine. I'm gonna skip forward. Go back a little bit. Okay. So here, Prowler ganks, and they actually kill Truffle here, which is really good for Greg. And then here they tried. I'm pretty sure they tried diving us. Maybe. Yes. Eventually they tried diving us here. And I remember, I think we traded the kills because they got Liz, but no, or they got me, but I was able to still pick up the icy flip on the backside because he took, I hit him and then he took aggro on the tower. Yeah. So Wally flashed in there. So we traded kills essentially. And again, even with Sig down, like I said, he's still kind of winning those trades up top. That's again, that's just something that I think. Yeah, see, like he's still losing these trades. Prowler roams up, forces out the flash. And this is something Sig does Sig was so good at. Even though he's down CS, like he's still winning with as trades with a Maokai against a Camille and a Vlad. Like early on like this, like, and this is something that cannot be understated because again, Rolexes can't really do anything with his CS leads at all. So they force in a TP here. Xin Zhao runs in. I think they might kill. No, I think he goes in too early here, and he ends up dying. Yeah. So Camille goes. So Camille got forced out. She backed and she TP'd in and flashed earlier, and she dies right away again. And so Xin Zhao here is pretty much using Greg TP's in. Syndra's already too late to this fight, so they get a free tower. So Syndra could have stayed mid here and just kept pushing this lane, get some plates. But when she roamed up and got nothing, it just kind of they lost even more there. So we're just playing safe here bot lane. And so you see the level difference too. At this point, Sig is level 8, even though Sig was down about 20 CS. And then you'll see here. You'll see here they try to trade me too, and I just trade back. I dodged both his things. And so Icy just sits there. And we knew he liked to sit there too. We were just like, okay, well, if he's going to sit there, we'll just play back. I will throw down a ward. Now we see him. So at this point, we're playing so defensively, they can't really force too much on us. And so that's why, that's why I think that kind of just changes them up a little bit. We're down. I'm still down in CS. And if you look right now, I'm down 40 CS, and that's really, really, really bad. But again, I can't stress with this comp. Like, if I had to step up and try to fight for those minions in CS, like we would have been in a much worse position because I would have died or taken a lot more damage. But you see here how even though Wally roams up here, I just stay down here and I just keep farming this. I'm like, okay, I'll hang around enough, but I'm still close enough to here where I can just say I'll just run down, farm this, fix the wave, have it pushed up, and now they have to answer that wave or they lose all that wave. And so when Wally walked up here, he had to walk all the long way around, and I was just able to just push it in, and my team got prowl on the drag. And so I, caught up in a little bit in CS, but not, it's not significant, but, it's a little bit, it adds up. And Sig rolls down to help with the drag. Rolex is just top hidden there. Sig TP's back top. So 3 kills, down 1,000 gold, not too bad. And we got Cloud Drake here. The Cloud Drake is actually really good for us because then, the ultimate cooldown on Prowler and Greg is actually just really, really good for them. A little bit of farm lane. You see how they're just shoving lane, and we just have to play really far back. We just wait for it under tower, and then we just keep farming. Yeah, you see how they're just doing a lot of damage. Wally's being very, very aggressive this game. But like I said, even when you're playing that aggressive, if you play against a lane this passive, a lane this defensively, you're gonna get frustrated. I get frustrated against people like that. So, but you also see how. So even though they got that really, 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 really early kill on the Xin Zhao onto Greg, Prowler is still up in CS. Prowler picked up the kill. Xin Zhao this whole time, he didn't do anything with his lead. He got that one kill. He didn't he didn't do anything. He couldn't. He's not even out farming at this point. So what's the point of him? Like when he got the kill, it didn't do anything for him. He didn't push it with by buying an item and just start invading, or he didn't do anything. And he's still farming slower. So again, that's that's one of those things where, like I said, at this point, like if there was a set jungle or a Volibear jungle, at least you could just be super tanky. But so in team fights, you could just be tanky, just be a frontline, just kind of being useful. But Xin Zhao that with a kill that early, who's still losing in farm, like the only difference is maybe he has a phage, but that's about it. So that's not ideally what you want to do. If you get a kill that early on a jungle, you want to start pushing these advantages. You want to start ganking these lanes. So. Let's keep skipping forward. Again, I think they're wasting a lot of time. Like, Rolex just sits there. I mean, they pushed out the lane, but he's just sitting there just trying to catch onto Greg. They're trying to chase Prowler through the jungle. Can't really do much. And then, again, Wally's here mid, again, not farming. He's sharing XP with all his teammates. I'm down here just solo farming. Yes, they got my tower early, but again, I'm still catching waves. And look at that. At this point, I'm only down 30 CS, and I'm still catching waves. I'm still catching CS, but it's all solo. So now I'm slowly just like I'm up one level on Wally now, and at this point, like I shouldn't be like that. Cinder roams down to catch me, but as soon as she runs down here, she TPs in. My team runs at him, and I just... Oh yeah, this is one where I got late, but... So my team ends up, I think, dying here, because it was an outnumbered fight. I got late, and then I ended up getting killed here. So... Which is fine. That's not... It's not ideal, but... it happened like that, but, at this point, I was like... At this point, this is when I started going mid, because, we did have a TP, but that's fine. We were able to get drag here. Still just farming. Alright, keep going here. So now just playing ARAM. Like this is the thing too, they have Rift, but they're not doing anything with it. Well, let's see what happens here. Okay, so their Sid got caught and traded, but that was actually a positive trade for us because even though Sid got killed, we got the big shutdown onto the Xin Zhao, and Xin Zhao has the Rift Hero, so they can't really push anything here too. But the shutdown was the huge thing. These. And now they're finally throwing out the Rift Herald. I think they get the mid. Yeah, they get the mid tower here. I think drag might be coming up soon, so we're just positioning. Oh no, okay. So here is a crucial mistake from Camille. So Camille saw me out here, and they also saw our teammates in the jungle here. As soon as she hook shots here and she doesn't go in, she's screwed. So what Rolex is there is he kind of jumped the gun. I think he was trying to go on me, but as soon as he saw my teammates roaming up here, he backed off. And so that's when we were like, okay, fucking run at him. So you see how we all just run and flashed on him, and he flashed out there. And we slow him down, we catch him. And then Greg flashes over, gets a beautiful stun, and now we catch them both out, and they're both dead. Now it's a 3v5, and we're in perfect position just to take the Baron now. So that was a huge mistake by Camille trying to go in there. The idea was right, but then the team wasn't in position to even follow up, and so I think he just jumped the gun a little bit there, and then again Syndra got killed. Oh, sorry. And then we just run, and then that's just in time too, because then we just get a free path right towards drag here. Sig backs up, TP's in. They try, I think they try to catch Prowler here. Well, they do catch Prowler here, but not really. Well, you know, we run up, we back them up, and we force them off. So now they're trying to kill us right there, and they just can't. We have a beefy front line. They really can't cut through it. Just keep fighting. Take out the pink ward. They're doing really good at just poking us down, too. But you see how Sig throws out his ult, forces them out. They have to back up, and then we get the drag. We get the Baron or drag. No. Oh, Xin Zhao gets the drag, but then we end up cleaning everybody else here. So Xin Zhao gets the kill, but Camille goes in here. Camille can't create. So Camille can't create space like a tank would. Xin Zhao, when he went in there, he died right away. He can't do anything anyway. So now, you know, when Camille goes in, she's dead. And then we just follow up. We're so tanky right now. They can't do anything to us. Syndra already used her burst. And so now it's just me, Liz, burning them down. Meanwhile, Prowler's still super freaking strong as an Urgot. And Sig, even though Sig is down like 70 CS, he's a Maokai. He's gonna have CC. He's gonna be tanky. Syndra and Caitlyn are not gonna be hitting him. They're gonna be trying to focus the carries and the people doing damage. So Sig is just gonna be a huge like frontline tank, just being annoying, and they have to deal with him. But if they do that, they get fucked up over by everybody else. So, yep, get a double kill there. So even though we lost the drag there, we still picked up a bunch of kills, and that's really good for us. So at this point, you know, this is again, this changes the dynamic on them. At this point, this is not normal for them, for 9 Lives to have a top lane that's 0-4-3. Normally at this point he's up way more CS and he probably has quite a few more kills. So let's keep going. Okay, so I think they catch Prowler here because Prowler stepped up, and then we end up killing the Thresh here. Camille goes in, kills me. I think they win this fight on the back end. Yeah. So they kill Annie there, but then Sig comes in. Sig's super tanky. They can't shred through him. Like, look at that. Syndra and Caitlyn can't do anything to him. Sig shows up, so the numbers are outnumbered now. So Sig ends up dying, but you see how tanky he was. And like they had to blow flash and everything to get away from him. So we lose that. We lose that fight, but it's still like, it's not bad. Though it would have been completely different if Prowler was like anywhere near that fight. Get up. Play out vision. So another thing too, while we watched this, another thing we noticed about this game too was, you remember how in the first game, I remember how I said that they used Fog of War very well. After a while, we realized that even when they had, they got Baron buffs, they got Elder buffs, a lot of times they didn't force, like they didn't push their advantages, and so I think after a while we were just like, all right, well, if they get Elder, if they get Baron, let's just sit back. Because it literally worked like that. Whenever they got any of those big objectives, I remember me and Greg were just like, all right, well, let's just sit back. They're not going to do anything. And they literally just didn't do anything. So, you know, and I think that it happens a few more times in this game where they get, this game and the next game where they get buffs and they just don't really push anything. Let's watch this. So here they pick up Prowler, and they just push him bad, and so I'm just hitting them free from the back line, and now they got to cut through our tank line, and which they can't. Yeah. Ginger gets a good stun off, but can't do much against Annie Bear. And then I run down Wally here. Yep. Alright, so what happened here? So what happened here is they probably got stunned, probably got hooked up here, and they blew him up right away, which is very smart because they wanted to fight for drag. But what Slack and Thresh didn't know, or even Camille, is they positioned here, they hit the drag knocked them back up into this wall here, and I just posted, so what it is, I backed up here, and I still have vision on them, because we have this ward here. So all I did was, when they got knocked back there, I just sat here and just started autoing them. Syndra was stunned up, Thresh was stunned up, Caitlyn was too far to do anything, and you notice how it just melts them. Drag just starts melting, I'm just melting the Xin Zhao, and when they come in, they have to run through the swing. And so Rolexes dies. Xin Zhao's super low. And then Liz catches Xin Zhao, kills him. We kill the Thresh. Syndra gets a stun. Syndra stuns us, kills the Annie, I think. And then Caitlyn kills him, but then I kill him, and then what is it? Syndra kills him. But I get, like, look at that. I got this $1,000 shutdown onto Caitlyn. So like if they did that and Xin Zhao and Camille didn't stand on that wall there or hit the dragon, we probably would have just lost that dragon. But the fact that they positioned bad there and I was able to just free hit them from over that wall, completely changed that fight. And so I was able to pick up those kills, and I got $1,000 gold shutdown. And so now I'm like way back into the game. Like I'm still down gold from the Caitlyn, but I just got a huge influx of gold, and now I'm just doing damage. And I think we just pick up this drag here. They hook and they try to stun Greg. And then team just runs in, backs them up. They have to back off. Now we have the inside track for the tower. They run in, they hook in Prowler again. But they don't have the balls to go in this time. They goes back to a farm game. Oh, this is another good one right here. So again, they try to hard target Prowler here. And they ended up just dying. I don't know how else to put it. Okay, so they try to, the idea was smart. They went out on Prowler here because Prowler was a little bit opposition. But then what they didn't notice, they were so spread out. Camille was so far up. Xin Zhao was so here. Xin Zhao can follow up. Thresh is here. But Syndra and Caitlyn are way back here. They can't do anything. They can't follow up anything. So Greg is right here. They just Prowler ults and they just kill. They just kill Slack. Slack dies. And then Liz is out here just zoning them. Liz is so strong now, she's just zoning them, so they have to kind of worry about her. Rolex jumps even further into the wall here, so now his team, Caitlyn's back here, Thresh and Syndra right here, and Rolex is here by himself, surrounded by 4 of us. So he ends up dying, and you can actually see how the Syndra here, she actually tries to flash in and ult me. But the thing is, as soon as she flashes, I flash out of her range too, so I think she ends up hitting either Greg or Prowler with her ult. Yeah, you see that? So she flashes in, she throws on that, and then Rolex flashes back out. And then we just, we come out positive in that trade. So here, again, it's a 4v5. We're just like, alright, let's just fucking run a Baron. Thresh walks up, too close. We just see him to death. Kill him. We get Baron. And then we just back out. And then here, so once we got Baron, Rolex is TP'd in, right? But then Rolex saw Sig here. What happened was, when we got Baron, we all split off. You see how we went up top here, Annie ran down, and they saw Sig here, but they didn't see me run here and stop here. So what he did is, again, he same thing with what happened in mid last time. He over focused the Sig. So you'll see how he jumps in. You'll see how he jumps in here to try to kill Sig. And all I just turned. Look at his health. We don't see the shot here, but look at his health bar. His health bar just disappears because when he jumped in on Sig just CC'd him, and I just autoed him like 6 times, and he was dead. And at the point, he had no way of getting out. So here, Syndra was gonna follow up, but you see how I dodged. Yeah, you see how that sidestep. I knew that he was trying to stun me there. And so what it does, I did a quick sidestep, and as soon as Syndra's the type of champ, as soon as she misses that stun and can't follow up for damage, she's almost useless. So I dodge right there, then I just turn right back with my range, and I just auto her to death. So here, I just time it, kill her, she gets out, and then we win again. So what happened was we kill Slack when they try to engage on Prowler in the river here. We get Baron, and then we kill Icy when they try to push in here. We get Baron, and then Rolex is just coming up. Rolexes and Truffle try to force it, and they also die right away again. So that's just like another huge influx of goals. So now I have 9 kills, and we have Baron. So again, Rolexes is 1, 6, and 4. Thresh is 0, 6, and 13. Xin Zhao's not doing much in the fights now because even if he was strong, he would still have to cut through a Randuin's, Maokai, an Urgot, and a Swain, and an Annie. So and then here we just have better vision setup. And Icy gets caught here by Greg. Greg just flashes and stuns him, and we kill him right away. So now it's a 4v5 again. And now we just stand around drag, and they cannot do anything to us. So now we got Soul, and then we run in down mid, get the tower, and they don't have good wave clear. They have decent wave clear, but they don't have really good wave clear. And so what they do is they over-index on mid here. Prowler's shoving up this bot lane tower here with the Baron buff, and so they're so focused here, they don't do much. Prowler just gets to push that right in. Prowler goes over, then get that. We take it their entire jungle and get out. Let's keep going, keep going. Oh, and then here's where they mess up. So Prowler walks in this wave here. We're all right here. They have no vision, so they know we were here. So they start going into the jungle looking for the jungle climbs that we cleared already. And at this point, they're all trying to TP back. They're all trying to backward out. But at this point, they're so behind on the tempo that we were just able to get a free tower. And then we just take the free. Well, we don't get the tower, but we don't get the inhib, but we get the tower. Now we just rotate right back. And then we just stay here. Again, we just stay here because they expected us to run back or something, and we just catch out Icy again because he walked in here with no vision. So now it's again 4v5. Run straight to Baron. They want it, they have to run right into us. So Icy getting caught out like that really kind of screwed him over. But the thing is, at this point too, it goes back to the mental game I was telling you about earlier. At this point, if you're a support and you're 0-8, no matter who you are, if you're 0-8 and 13, you're gonna start thinking twice about trying to hook. You're gonna start thinking twice about going in and playing. And like I said, it really fucks with your mental when you do this back, because now you're just going. Now most people, or even I, would be like, "Fuck, I'm screwing this game over. I'm the reason we're losing." And that really makes you start hesitating to do anything. So now their vision game is going to go down. When you think about it, their vision games might just be going down because now the Thresh doesn't want to step up or walk up to ward anymore. He doesn't want to walk up to clear anything anymore, and so that in total just kind of contributes to the final loss. Okay, so look at this. Sig is down almost 200, 150 CS, 160 CS. He's only down like 1,000 gold onto Rolexes. Like, that's insane. Like, I get that the fact that we have a lot of their towers and we got a lot of the objectives and stuff, but like this is the kind of game that Rolexes should have just been in a silent split pushing this entire time. Instead they tried to team fight with us, and no matter what happened, Sig was just always more useful in the team fights as a Maokai. Like, Maokai is just one of the champs, like, he doesn't need a lot of resources, because he's not, no matter what, unless he's going to be, no matter what, they're not going to the damage is not going to target him. So he just gets to be a tank CC front line, and he just gets to be way more relevant than, you know, a Camille in team fights. So let's keep going here. Did we catch someone here? Okay, so Sig ult and they TP in. Catch a bunch of them. We start Elder. But at this point, like, look how low they are. We're still tanky enough. Like, if we're still tanky, but they have damage, but they're not nearly as tanky as we are. Just keep watching this. Greg pops Truffle right there. Look at that. So Truffle, he does this game, and he does this next game too. He over indexes on me right here. So he's trying to find a stun. You see where that? So he completely forgets about Greg here, and Greg just steps up to him and just ults and one-shots him. And now he's dead, and now, you know, Icy's in here alone. Slack is out here. Prowler's, they're just taking the drag, and now Slack dies. And so this whole time, when Greg throws that down, I'm just zoning him out, and then like, Camille and them, they have to step away. And so, like, Slack dies here with all their, and we just push the end. And just like that, we win. So again, they played very well, but again, I think Truffle, like I said, Truffle over indexes on the Kog'Maw, and he does this the next game as well, where towards the end, where I'll tell you. So yeah, let's go game 5. All right. Okay, so this is interesting. So same exact bans, Yi, Morgana, Volley, Ezreal, and this time they banned Urgot because Prowler has been popping off in Urgot, and they do not want to deal with him anymore because he's been like he's just been so fucking taking and doing so much damage. They just like, all right, fuck this shit, we're taking it out. Again, stay with us. We do all right. Ezreal, Volibear, GP, and then they pick the Ornn. This is where I think that they lost. Because remember how I told you earlier, they were so worried about giving Sig Eternal the Ornn that they had to take it, that they took it away. And so like this is the beauty of our team showing up right here, option 12. It's almost like White Wolf last split. They had to ban the Yi and the Morgana because those are very good champs for us. But then with how Prowler performed on the Urgot, they either had to ban him or ban the Ornn. But for some reason, they focused so hard on Ornn. They didn't pay attention to the fact that Sig was doing so good on the Maokai this entire time, the last 2 games. But so they ban the Ornn, and they ban the Urgot, and they take away the Ornn. So again, this changes. This is something that changes their team dynamic already because Rolexis is no longer on a carry. He's always been on a carry. He plays his best when he's on a carry. So the fact that he picked a tank just to take it away from Sig already changes their entire dynamic on their team. So here we got the Swain for Liz because it's been working out good. We got the Maokai because we're like, okay, well if they will pick Ornn, we want to keep Alex on the Maokai he's been doing so good on. And here they take away the Kog'Maw. And then they actually take away the Lulu. This is another big thing that they changed up. Like this is another reason why I think that they ultimately lost, because now they're completely changing up everything they do. They've done all split. Rolex is no longer on the carry. Wally is on a non-mobile 80 carry, and Icy Flip is no longer on a tanky engage support. And then we get. In the meantime, we get Maokai, tanky Sig support, does very well on it in lane, and we get Liz's Swain. Let's go in. And then here we grab Jhin. Now this is where it gets fun. Remember how I said earlier in both those Jhin games about how Jhin with a strong CC support is like a super strong kill lane. This is Jhin and Swain into Lulu Kog'Maw will always fucking win. And this is why this is where it gets fun. Where I thought that they lost, it was because first off, they have again their top lane is on a tank, and now their AD carry, who's used to be carrying and pushing lane and being ahead, is now on a champion that needs to play defensive, slow, and just farm up. Like right now, so if we hard engage onto the Kog'Maw, the only thing that he can rely on to keep him alive now is the Lulu, because he can't self-position himself unless he has flash, and so the whole dynamic changes now because now Wally is not going to be winning lanes, and you'll see that in the game too. Liz will be zoning them out and just winning these lanes. Like we're not going to be. I don't think we're not a super strong kill lane, but now they have to play completely different. And then here, we go, okay, well, clearly, they're going to go protect the Kog'Maw, because at this point, they're looking for ornament items, and they're looking for a Lulu, so they're going for a Juggernaut comp. So what we do right away is we go, alright, we're going to ban out Galio, because at this point, no matter what, we're like, we don't want to give them any more tools to protect this Kog'Maw. So we ban out the Galio. They ban out the Annie, because Greg did such a good job at it the last game. And then we ban out the Orianna. Same thing with the Galio. We're like, screw this. We do not want to give that Kog'Maw another shield. Because the thing with Orianna is she can give a shield and she can speed up the Kog'Maw. And she can space super, super well along with the Galio with her ultimate. And so when we took away all those, we were like, alright, we'll just take away these tools, targets slack. Because I think if they got either one of these champions in this last match, they would have beat us. So we'll go forward. Then I think they banned Brand here because they're terrified of Greg's damage. And then we pick up Lux here. And so again, going back to game one, we can flex. Now this is like our game one plan. Now we can flex the Lux and the Swain. And so how we like to play, this is a nice strong comp that we've practiced and played a lot throughout this play. This is something new completely for them. So with the Swain snare hook, I can follow up with a Deadly Flourish, Maokai hook, damage. We can follow up anything. And so this is, again, if you look back on our game and our scouting, you'll notice that this is something that we played a lot that we're very comfortable with. This is not something that they do. They did this to mainly take away the Ornn and the Kog'Maw. And this they put a lot of, they relied a lot on, Wally this game. So here they got Syndra, and then they got Set. So they, at the end of the day, they still got the Set, and they still got the Lulu, and they still got the Set and the Syndra, but everything else is changing. And right now, and the thing is, the biggest carries on their team is Rolexes and Wally. And right now they're playing two completely different champs that they're not used to, that they don't play. And so our last pick, we go Hecarim, because I remember when this whole thing happened, I was like, wait, they picked a Syndra, a Kog'Maw, and a Lulu. None of these champs are mobile at all. And so I was like, Prowler, if you just pick this Hecarim, you can just run at them and they will not be able to do anything. Like they might be able to knock you back, stun you, but they won't be able to stop the Jhin follow-up with the W Flourish. They won't be able to stop the Lux. As soon as Prowler goes in and just chunks them out, they won't be able to stop any of this extra damage that we have to follow up. So, there we go. So here they invade Slack early. Do a good job. Force out the flash from Slack. Uses his shield to stop the ignite. I hit him with a W Flourish and I get first blood. So that's really good. Jhin getting first blood is huge because if Jhin can get an early BF, he's just going to fucking dominate lane. And so now they had to be scared because, again, Liz, you saw Liz just threw out that snare. They have to be so respectful because if they're not, we can just lock them down and just burst and chunk it down to half, and they can't do anything about it. Prowler's just warming up. Like they have to play so far back. And if you look at the wave state, it's gonna start pushing towards us. We have more blue minions, and eventually you're gonna start seeing us just hard freezing at them. Right now, Wally's doing pretty good on pushing it, but the lane state's gonna eventually slow push back onto us, and they can't not step up. If they step up, Prowler's just gonna come run at them. And you see, I'm taking all this damage. I'm saying I will fucking eat that shit if I can keep the wave right here, so that Wally and them cannot step up and they cannot farm. So now this lane's frozen. I'm eating a pot, and no matter what, I still have a kill on them. So I'll get all this weight. I'm gonna have a CS lead and I have a kill lead on them. So all I gotta do is sit here and freeze this lane here, and when they come back, can't do anything. Sig is still waiting trades up top. Oh, you see here. Lulu had to step up to try to push that to bounce it. And then Prowler just runs in, runs at him. And we force out her flash. So now she has no more flash. And now, Wally and Lulu are way back here. And I'm still freezing the lane here. The lane's still frozen. I'm up 10 CS now. And they know Prowler is hovering, but they cannot step up. They're stepping up now, but they're still being very careful if you look at where they are. Prowler's getting a free drag. Sig is still doing okay top. Probably gets that. So now I back up. I back out. What is it? Now Wally's trying to clear the wave, but he's going to push back on me because he's trying to catch up and farm. Now I come back with a BF sword, and the wave's bouncing right back into me. See that? They're trying to push and bounce it, but I'm going to be able to catch it. Now I'm up 20 CS, Greg's up CS, Prowler's up CS, Sig is down significant in CS, but again, Sig's on a Maokai, he's going to still be useful, more useful late game. Alright, let's go much. Okay, so here, we're just like, alright, fuck this shit, dive him. So you see how we were able to stun down that Kog'Maw, and we were able to just kill, Prowler was able to get the Kog'Maw. So now, this is the reason why we picked the Hecarim, because Lulu cannot. So Lulu polymorph Prowler, but Lulu cannot stun Prowler from doing damage. They still cannot. Like Lulu can't do. They don't have the hard CC to actually stop anyone from just moving, and so without her ult, Prowler was able to just run in here, fear him, and do a lot. We were able to just do a lot of damage and kill Wally, and then Wally lost his entire wave here. Like, he lost this entire wave here. Like, he might have picked up a few things, but he still lost all that XP and all the damage. And we got Syndra TP while Greg just ran down. So Greg says we still have TP advantage. Wally died, lost his wave. Now I'm up like almost 30 CS on Wally. And then what happens? Here we're trying to fight for the scuttle. We get the scuttle, and then Lulu. Icy forgets to pay attention, and so he walks up, and I just kill him here. I flash here because I thought he might have had a flash, but... So now we get another kill. Now we got 2 kills, and I'm up almost 30 CS. Alright, let's keep going. Sorry guys, I'm going to skip through a lot of this farming. Alright, we'll take that Rift Herald off. So you see how Prowler's back here again? Prowler's back again. So what happened was they saw Prowler run down. So the point of this game was fuck up Wally. Because, again, we were very confident saying, alright, if he does not have get out his repositioning tools, we could just fucking kill him all day. So as soon as they saw Prowler come here, Syndra TP'd. And we just backed up. And Greg kind of messes up because Greg actually stops the TP. But now Syndra has no TP again, and Lux has TP. The moment that Syndra TP's that fast, that tells you quite a few things. It tells you that Syndra's looking to TP. Because no mid laner is looking to TP that fast unless they're actually looking for it. I can't imagine that the Kog'Maw and the Lulu are like, oh man, you guys need TP down here right away to save us from this dive. And so my best guess is Truffle was there to just mainly hold the lane and to push out lane and stuff. But he was looking to always, at least be around bot side to help facilitate just in case we already next. Because at this point, they knew Prowler how they understood that, and they got a feel that Prowler was always just hovering around mid, trying to screw over the Kog'Maw. So. So now I'm almost 50 CS up on Wally. So again, this is one of the things. So like, this is not a position that they're normally in. My lead right now is bigger than the lead that they had on me. They try to attack us. We just get out. They try to keep going. I think we just give it up. Yep. Oh. Rolexus goes in. Gets killed, but Prowler shows up and kills. Maokai kill him. We get Rift Herald. Pushed in mid. We do it on Rift. Now we catch out. Slack greeted for that. Tried greeting for that. Now he gets caught out. He flashes out again. Lulu ulted herself. So now they have no. So now even if we dive them, they have no tools to get away. Look, Sig goes in. Lulu has nothing now. Slack's healing up. I think we get another charge off. Yep, we get another charge off. Tower's hurting. Sig just goes in on. Slack doesn't have the ulti, the flash to get it now. Prowler dies to tower, but now we get a free tower. We trade it 1 kill for 1, and we get a tower. Oh, now we trade 2. Okay. Let's keep going. Pushing up. This is a long game, guys. I'm gonna be fast. We get this drag again. Now we're on soul point. Okay, this is a good one too. So here, Wally steps up here, and we just one-shot him. Yeah, he steps up too far, and we just one-shot him because I just called for it and probably, follow up and just went in. Now we just run straight at Baron because they don't have the damage anymore. Now they actually do a pretty good job here at bursting and killing us. I think they actually win this too. Yeah, they win this. Let's keep going, keep going. They fight us, they actually kill us. So, oh, okay. So what Prowler did here was, same thing, Prowler dived into them, and Prowler pushed Trufflesaurus right back into me, and I killed him, and then Liz finished him off. Look at Sinner's feared and stunned. And now Sig threw down his thing. Sig's just being a big tank right now. And this whole time, Liz and them was still burning, Greg's still hurting them, and I'm still alive. And they actually dive me here. They don't care me, but then we just pressure them out. Oh, I think we die here, yeah, because they committed a lot to get us. So now they're still in the lead. Let's keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep going. And this is where, never mind, actually, not yet. Okay, so now this is another huge fight too. They see me and Greg here, and they try to catch me and Greg here with Ornn ult. Greg gets his perfect snare down. Ornn misses his knockback. Meanwhile, Prowler dived in, and was hitting Wally super low. So Ornn dashes back, knocks Prowler up, and then I open up with my ult. Greg hits Kog'Maw, and I hit Kog'Maw with one shot right there. Kog'Maw dies right away. So at this point, we trade Kog'Maw for Hecarim. And then you see how Sig goes in there? Sig goes right into the back line. Slack is here. Ornn is here. Sig goes right into the back line, and Sig's just causing havoc. So now they don't have damage from any of these, and their damage is distracted. Liz is popping her ult off here, and Greg is here, and I'm just still just zoning with my ult. So they end up killing Liz. They end up bursting down Liz. But then Greg lands another snare, and I actually flash in to kill Truffle, because I'm like, he's the damage. If we kill him, they can't do nothing. So you see how I actually kill him like that? They go in, they miss the knockup, and then me and Greg just follow up. Now Sig's just being a tank, and now our backline is alive, and we win these fights. And here I was very comfortable because I'm like, they do not have the damage. I can just keep chasing, and I have my passive. I can just keep running them down. And here they actually try to fight, and Greg gets another good snare. And then Slack misses a face breaker, and he misses his shield, and so I just run in and auto him one more time. Rolexus almost dies here too, but I'm pretty sure he flashes out. Yeah, he flashes out. And then we just get out. And then we get, yep, we get the Earth Soul. And then I made a big mistake here. So Prowler gets onto Trufflesaurus, but then Orin just super tangy, and I actually over chased the Cinder over here, and then Orin was just able to knock us up, and they were just able to fall up and kill us all here. So that was my mistake. So they got an ace on us, and then they got Baron, and I think this is the point where I said that earlier, where I said that they didn't really do anything. They got the Baron, but they didn't really push. They just kind of hung around. They just kind of turtled around here forever. Like at this point, if they had Baron, they should be pushing up so far. They're so strong. Look at it. Kog'Maws, they have ornament items. They're almost full build. No, not full build. They have ornament items. They're super strong. They're about 5,000 gold up. They have 8 kills up. And they have Baron. The only thing we have was Soul, but they're not pushing anything. They're just kind of walking around, farming up, pushing up slow here. And now, so like for a while, they were just walking around. And now they kind of finally started pushing up a little bit. But they're not trying to look for Cinderstones. They're not looking for... Like, they can't really force anything against us under top. They can't hard engage. Unless they, like, Orin and Set just dive us completely. But then that... They might just die, you know? So, we play this dance around mid lane, even though they have Baron. And then I step up there to try and bait out a Cinder Stun. Snare Slack. So, even with Baron, they cannot do anything. Like... They can't push into us even with 5,000 goldie with Baron. They can't, because we have so much weight to kill it too with the Swain. And then here you see how they're engaged. The only engaged is Slack just runs in and dives us. That's it. And so, okay, so here, he gets stunned up, he gets snared up. Orin ult is coming, and now the Greg and Liz are just spacing, I'm spacing, and Prowler's got a clear line to the back line here. So look what's gonna happen. Once Prowler's gonna knock him out, I'm gonna hit Syndra so hard she's gonna zone us, and then I'm gonna kill her once she comes right back out. Boom. She's almost dead. They not what is it? Set takes Prowler out away from the carries. So it's Truffle gets chunked down by me. Set instantly ults Prowler out of their backline, and so what is it? You can see Icy actually ulted Wally super early here. And so what they're going to be doing is they kill Prowler. And Greg gets a huge ult here. And then Ornn stuns up Greg here. And then Sig just being a tank here. Truffle's still here. So I kill Truffle right away. And so at this point, they're focusing on the tanks. Wally's hitting whatever's in front of him. Greg's still here, knocked up. Liz is back here. And I'm here completely unharmed. And so you see, look, you actually see me. You actually see me flash in. You actually see me flash in just so I can hit the Kog'Maw. And you see that? Kog'Maw, I instantly kill Kog'Maw. And next thing I do is, with my passive, move speed, I run away. And then they kill Sig with the Kog'Maw passive. But they're trying to dive Liz here. That's the huge thing right here. Liz is so strong here with Liandry's and Zhonya's. And she's in her ult, so she's constantly healing right now. They have no damage from any of these. So they're trying to dive under tower against a champ that's constantly healing and doing burn damage, and while I run back here, and they're just finding out Lulu has no more ult. They have nothing. They have no ults, no nothing anymore. So they're just essentially trying to auto Liz to death. And so what I do is I just open up with my ult, force out the flash. I hit the Lulu with my ult, and then Liz just finishes off the set like that. So if you look at this whole fight from the beginning, they try to force it. Truffle gets blown up right away by me. Well, he lives enough, but I blow him right away. I flash in just to make sure I kill Wally. And as soon as those two carriers are dead, they have no more damage. Because they use Set ult to get Prowler out. Then use Ornn ult to try to force and engage. And then, like I said, Liz It goes back to the same concept. They have tank, and a support. They have no damage. Liz is tank and damage. And Prowler, so, yeah, just watch. Cinder gets chunked out right here. Feared and chunked out. Zonya's right away. Prowler is dead. Greg hurts Kog'Maw a lot. I flash in right here. Kill the Kog'Maw, and then I just run right back. Again, Liz is still burning them all out. They can't do anything because she's just healing. Then I open up. Liz is still doing now damage. They overcommitted. I hit Lulu. Shot kills them. Now that's huge. What just happened is they were up about, I think, 5,000 gold. And they had ornament items. And they had all those shutdowns. All those shutdowns just went to me. And they still lost that fight. That's the insane thing. At some point in this game, I think they were actually up like 8,000 gold. They had ornament items, which is like ultimate scaling. They had a Lulu and a Kog'Maw, which is the ultimate like late game champion scaling, and and they still lose. So right here, I try to force this inhib. I think, yeah, I give myself up for this inhib because I'm like, you know what, I want to fix. So what a lot of people think is I inted here. But my idea here was, yes, I will give my life up for this. Because at this point, I knew I wasn't going to walk away from this Ornn. But I wanted to make sure that I got this inhibitor. Because it goes back to fixing the waves. If you can get the inhib and you can get your super minions running in, that's always going to fuck up with the enemy team. So no matter what, for the next, I think, couple minutes, they have to worry about super minions constantly pushing them in. So Syndra or Kog'Maw have to constantly be there clearing the wave. And so I was willing to give this up but I also pay attention to the timers. I knew that by the time I get up, I think the next dragon will come up. So I gave up my life here because there's no way I was giving out. So you might as well get something for it. So I think they knew drag was coming up. So yeah, oh no, they all just group mid and push. And then this is where they actually catch us, and I think they almost died. They almost won. So they sit in this death brush here. Oh. They see us clear these words, and what do? They just run at us. And this is actually huge because they actually catch us, and they win a huge fight. They barely catch me here. They barely caught me here, and they killed me, and I was so annoyed of that. So they actually kill all of us. Oh no, I don't think they kill all of us, but they kill. I think Greg is alive. Oh. Oh shit, my bad, guys. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Give me a second. Okay. So they kill us here. Well, you notice here. Notice what happens here. That inhib I took earlier, remember I told you how you fix the waves? That inhib I took down earlier with our super minions pushing by, they didn't fix their problem. The main problem they had was they didn't fix that wave before they moved in. So since they didn't fix it, they had no minion waves here. So they were able to, I think, get down this tower and this inhibitor, but they were not able to finish the game. If they had a wave here, they would have pushed just straight in. Because look, 30 seconds of these timers. They would have just pushed in the end of the entire game right away. But since I killed that wave earlier, they had no wave, and they had to run right back, and I think they got Elder here too. Yes, yeah, they got Elder here. But this is another thing. Remember how I told you how when they got objectives or big objectives and stuff, they didn't do anything with it? This is another case. They got Elder here, and they could have easily just forced it down mid super hard, or split, or forced the Baron super hard. But then they just kind of walked around here. We just kind of positioned around. They just kind of walked around together in a group, but they didn't do anything. Again, they're just running back and forth, catching the mid wave, and that's all. It's the mid wave again. You know, that's what when you have to fix that wave, they have to constantly keep having to worry about it. Like I said earlier, they have to. So when they did that, they saw us when they ran mid. We were like, all right, let's just start hitting Baron, so make them run into us. But now they still have the super here, so now they have to kind of run back. Now someone's backing right now. So that's how you kind of play the macro. When you fix those waves, you put yourself in a good position like this. So a good position like this. So now they have the Elder, and they haven't done anything with the Elder. They got the huge Elder buff, and they haven't done anything with it. And so they've just been running back and forth between Baron and this mid wave here. So they're trying to say, okay, we have the inside track now to the in-hit, but now they had to run all the way here. By the time they run all the way here, we already back in the base and defending. So they just keep going here, then I think they try to force here, and then they end up not getting anything. They still have the Elder, but it's not doing anything. Look, and so they get the in-hit, but then they just run away. With Elder. This is where I'm saying. Look at this. Kog'Maw is full build here with an ornament item. They're 8,000 gold up with an Elder, and they're not ending the game. they're not ending the game here. What the? So they fall back, completely waste the Elder. And so they have to run back and catch this wave now. That from that one inhib I took earlier and sacrificed my life for, they spent most of their Elder buff just trying to catch that wave and defending against it. So now the Elder buff is gone. They're trying to run it up mid again. We fix the wave, we clear it, and then they just start trying to Baron. So remember, look how we clear the wave there, and we clear the wave there and we fix it, right? So now we can respawn without having to worry about supers just eating down our base. So now here, they have us in the chokehold. So it was pretty smart actually. They have us in chokehold and they try to force engage on us. So they knock up Sig and then knock up Prowler. And I'm right here, Liz is over here, and Greg's over here. So they knock up Maokai, but then I flash right away over here to get out of get away from range from the Facebreaker. And now, but then the thing is, their tanks are way up here. Kog'Maw, Lulu, and Syndra are down here, and Greg's just hitting them from the side here. And Prowler's got a free line to their back line. So Prowler's gonna hit him. When Prowler goes in, Wally jumps over. What is it? Yeah, so Prowler goes in and Wally flashes over, and now they just focus him. Meanwhile, I'm here and I hit the Syndra here, and the Ornn and the Set are trying to still deal with Maokai and Swain up here. So you see how I hit the Syndra here? Zonya has it early. Prowler has the GA to keep him alive a little bit longer. And then now Kog'Maw is just over. Kog'Maw can't do anything here. He's so far out of the fight here, and I'm here, and their Ornn and the Set try peeling back to help out Trufflesaurus after he gets out of his zone. So Greg just walks in. They kill Prowler, but now I flash over and I kill Syndra. Now I hit the Lulu. Me and Liz are now finishing off this Lulu here. And so we had to run back out here because their tanks are just running at us. And you see how Liz is just burning them down, and she's still just healing up. So even after all that, she's still full health, and they're the only ones burning out. Kog'Maw is distracted with Greg, but Greg has way too much range for Kog'Maw to actually do anything about. So here Liz lands a beautiful stun, and I use my passive, speed up, just to chase them in. And I'm just like, you know what, fuck it. We have they have tank, we have one tank, but we have two really high damage. They have one high damage. So they stun me here. They facebreaker me, but then Liz burns. Liz is doing all this damage while they're ignoring her. They're just focusing me and Greg. So Liz with her Leandri Swain is just burning the fuck out of everybody. So Rolex splashes away. I follow with my ult. Greg gives a beautiful ult, kills him. Liz finally runs out of mana, and then I miss a Wally here. So when you go back here, look how this whole fight started. They try to overforce after they had no Baron. After they have no Elder, they try to force here, and Wally flashed over and couldn't get in range to keep autoing people. Meanwhile, we killed. They separated the team fight completely separated. I was able to get onto the Syndra, and then me and Liz were also able to follow up with our damage and kill the Lulu. And then afterwards, we just me and Greg and Liz just ran them down. Like, that's insane, man. No, beautiful. Okay, so now that you think about it, look at that wave earlier when I fixed it here. If we didn't fix it here, they would have had like, at least 2 super minions here just pounding away at our base. But since I was able to push it, fix it, this super minion had to go through another wave of ours the whole time when we were fighting. And so, that's the importance of fixing your waves. So when I fixed that, that bought us enough time that these super minions weren't able to take down our tower here. And after winning the fight, we were able to run back and still save our tower, I think. Yep. And then here we were just like, alright, let's just start hitting Baron Prowlers up way before they are. So Prowlers runs here. We get Baron. And then we reset. Oh, I think this is the big... Yeah. Okay. Okay, so same thing... same deal with last game. Remember how last game I told you how I think Trufflesaurus over-indexed onto some of the carries? So here, for some reason, it looks like he completely forgot the Sig and Greg were here. Like, we were way up here. We were all spread out because we did not want to give him the stun. But it's like he completely forgot we were here. And so at this point, I'm like, wait, Sig, you're like literally right next to him. So I remember at this moment, I was like, Sig, just go on to Truffle, go on to Cinder. She's so close. She's so far up. So Sig does a great job, goes in on her right here, knocks her back. Orno comes in, Prowler, Syndra Zonyad, Set ulted right, Sig right back out, but Prowler goes in right on time and knocks back their backline. So Prowler knocks back their backline and does a shit ton of damage. Look at that. And so they all spread apart, right? It spreads them all out, and that's the great thing about the Hecarim because they spread them completely out and feared them for a long time. As soon as Truffle comes out of here, I hit her with a 723 ult or auto. What is that? Kog'Maw uses his QSS here. So Syndra flashes on here for some reason to try to get into range. Like, she was already in range of Prowler here, but then she flashed into Prowler just to ult. And Prowler is still full, so I auto Syndra, she dies. And then Lulu finally ults the Kog'Maw. And they kill Prowler. But now, me, Greg, Liz are all in the back line. And Sig is our tank line right here. Kog'Maw has no more Lulu ult. He's already half chunked down to half. We still have all our damage here, and Kog'Maw is their only damage because now they have a tank support with no Lulu ult. So I hit Kog'Maw there, and then I peel back because I'm way too close to these guys here, like Rolexes and Slack. So I peel back. Sig falls back. Snares him. Heals up a little bit. I hit Slack. I think Slack flashes out here. Yeah, Slack flashes out here. And so they're all, at this point, they're all super low. Oh, I hit Wall here. But I think a Guardian or something protected them. So they're all super low here. We still have, Alex is low, but Alex is just a tank. We still have damage. So now Rolex's is solo carry mode right now. He's trying to do everything he can to just keep us away from her. The great thing is, so Liz gets a snare, and then I open up with my ult. But at the exact same time, Rolex's hits his headbutt and knocks me up through the wall. And so that actually saves them for just a little bit longer. But then, like, Liz burns, like with Liz and her Leon, she burns down Set. And then Alex, this whole time, is just running at Kog'Maw. And at this point, Lulu can't do anything. Lulu has no more shield, she has no more ult. Kog'Maw has no more flash, no more QSS. So Sig just goes on there, and then Greg just follows right up. Kills the Kog'Maw. The passive will kill Sig here. And this whole time, Liz is burning down Odin. Like I'm hitting Odin too. I'm hitting Ornn, and Liz is also just burning him down. So he cannot survive. He has no damage, and he can't survive both our damage. So we end up winning that fight again. Lulu gets away. Greg, and Liz are still alive. And so some people here again are gonna wonder why I ran straight to the inhibitor here. So most people will just go get fucking Elder and then go to inhib. But a lot of times, so my idea here was, if I could get this inhibitor, you see her here, they still have a super minion wave pushing into our base here. So at this point, I'm like, I need to get this inhibitor to offset this super minion wave, this art inhibitor. Because if I don't do that, what's going to happen is we're going to have to keep running back from having to worry about that every time we fight. We have to keep worrying about this super minion wave. And so when with all those death timers, if I hit this inhib first and I take it down first, and then I run Elder, when when 9 lives gets up, they have to run all the way to Elder to catch me. Versus if we go to Elder and kill it first, and then we run here, by the time they get up, they have far less distance and close. So think about this: if we went Elder, killed Elder first, and then went to the inhib, they would have been they would have had to close much less distance to try to get to us to do the chain follow up. But if I went to the inhib and then to the Elder, I would have more time to kill the inhib, and then I would have more time to run back, and then by the time they get up, they would have to run all the way back here to at least try to get us. So when you think about like net gain, if I went to the inhibitor first and then Elder, 9 lives has way more distance to close versus me going to Elder and then the inhib. So this is another one where I'm just like, alright, I want to get this inhibitor down to set off. Greg goes back and fixes that wave. And then look here. Greg fixes the wave, so now we have super minions spawning, and our inhibitor just comes up. So now the situation is completely flipped. We have super minions pushing, they have no super minions here. And so we start doing Elder, and then Prowler's up. Everyone's slowly coming up. But you see here how our minions wave is already pushing here, and we have Elder. As soon as we get Elder, boom, minion waves fixed. Minion wave is fixed. We have 2 super minions coming out. Now we have Baron and we have Elder buff with us. Now we just walk it right in. So unlike before when 9 lives earlier 9 lives when they caught us in the mid here, they didn't have these minion waves. If they had these minion waves, they would be doing the exact same thing to us, but they didn't fix that wave. And so what happened was they weren't able to force end against us. We're in the exact same position, but at least this time I got the inhib and we fixed the wave. So by the time we got the both buffs, we were able to just walk it in. And now 9 lives have to play scared. Towers don't get those bonus armor. And here my team was we were kind of worried here because we didn't want to get caught. But with my range, I was just like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna open up my ult with Elder, see how much I can chunk them down. And Icy was actually pretty tanky, so I couldn't really chunk anyone down. But that was just kind of see if I could. But they were so tanky I couldn't do that. But I was like, all right, you know what? I'll use my range, hit this tower. I'm gonna hit these towers to make sure that you guys understand that if you guys do not step up, if you guys do not walk up and block us or like do something about it, we will slowly chunk away your towers because we still have Soul and we still have Elder, so we could out-sustain them. See how I just walk up again? Okay, I'm gonna keep autoing this like this one by one. If you guys don't step up or you guys don't do anything, you guys will lose this tower. There we go, here we go, here we go. Okay, so another super minion wave comes in. This is where Truffle tries to stun me here. But what you'll notice is he's gonna miss. So he stuns here. If it catch me, they probably win. But you see how he kind of positions kind of bad. So his ball barely went to the right. It stuns up Greg and stuff, and Sig, but it barely goes to the right here. And I'm actually at this point I'm already actually walking back. You see, so I barely walk out of the range. So when they thought that they caught me, Rolexes comes in with his ult right away. And at this point, I'm just peeling out to kind of make space to make sure that these guys can't get near me. Prowler dies in right on the IC onto the Kog'Maw. And then Liz pops her ult. Sig goes right in onto Rolexes to stop him from dashing onto us. And okay, so Sig goes in to stop Rolexes from getting onto us. Truffle walks up to try and kills Greg. Meanwhile, Set runs back right away to try to peel off the Prowler on the Kog'Maw and the Lulu. Meanwhile, with the Elder buff, no matter what, we're just stronger now. Even though they're stronger, you see how the gold is even. We have Elder buff, so we are gonna blow up the Rolexes right away. Rolexes dies. Set spend all the time to kill Prowler with a GA, so Prowler's just gonna come right back up. Truffle ults Lux and kills Greg right away. And so what happens is I just walk up. At this point, he just used his stun, and he just used his ult. He has nothing to use right now. He has no way of getting out unless he Zonias. So what I do is I just step up, and auto him twice. He dies. He could have Zonias and bought a little time, but he didn't. And by the time Set gets back to try to frontline for Syndra, Syndra's already dead. And now Kog'Maw and Lulu had to worry about Hecarim in the backline already. So now Sig is still alive. He's just tanky. They didn't do damage. He's just tanky. Liz is burning down, and Set has no damage. So now Sig just being tanky, and now me and Liz are just killing him straight off. Prowler manages to kill the Kog'Maw. Even though Kog'Maw is a guardian, Prowler with the Elder Buff manages to pop Kog'Maw. And so what happens is I flash in on Slack. I get the execute. And like Wally stays here, and so Wally gets executed because he decided to try to fight, and Prowler, the Elder Buff burned, so the Elder Buff gave Prowler the advantage and burned him down. And then we just end up winning. So if you look at the whole fight, look how it is. They missed. Truffle misses the stun. Wally, they try to engage against an Elder Buff, and Rolex gets locked up, and we burst him down right away. Truffle focuses Greg, kills him, but then I follow with my huge crits and kill Truffle Source. And then by the time Set comes right back in, Set's already has no more damage, no back line, because Prowler's already there. Now Rolexus dies, Truffle dies, now Set's running back. And then Set dies, Kog'Maw tried running back up to attack us, but then he realized he still had a Hecarim behind him. And then he tries sticking around to kill Prowler. Prowler just burns him down with the Elder. And we win. Yeah. So like I said, Nine Lives is actually just they were actually such a good team. Like, you know, about being proactive, about trying to about you know, just being proactive and, like, you know, just really dominating. But what happened was, I think once we started slowing them down the game, once we went with the Kog'Maw, they knew they couldn't really do those tank comps anymore. But they also, if you notice slightly over the game, they started slightly trying to shift. They shifted away from what they were really, really good at to just try to take away what we were good at. And I think that at the end of the day, that's actually what screwed them over, because they kept a few things, but they completely changed what they were good at and how they wanted to play. And so a few small, you know, we had a lot of mistakes, they had a lot of mistakes, but I think that the main big game changer here was the fact that they shifted away from a carry top, and they shifted away from a mobile AD carry, so that Wally, no matter what, was able to, even if he was caught in a bad position, he was always able to reposition himself. But with Kog'Maw, he wasn't able to do that. And the same thing with the Lulu. It was like us putting Liz on Braum. Like, Lulu just isn't a tanky supporter that can just be in there and block for Wally and buy time for him. And so, yeah, that's how I think we won. That's how we came with the backflip. So I mean, this is a long video. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize for making it so long, but you know, you guys just skip through it. I tried to go as fast as I could with the skip button, but yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks. Bye bye.